Who says you can't? You do. Is the ultimate book for personal growth. It helps you find clarity within yourself, regardless of where you are in life. Who says you can't? You Do offers clear and actionable steps for developing a winner's mental state and ultimately to live a fuller and more successful life. I highly recommend this book. There are powers inside of you which, if you could discover and use, would make you everything you ever dreamed or imagined you could become. Why do you act the way you do? Why are some people highly motivated while others can't be bothered to get up and find the TV remote? What makes the difference in people's lives? How do you change your approach and outlook when the world seems to be crashing down around you? How do you create your life the way you want it? What are the strategies that have worked for the most successful people in history? How do you build a trusting relationship with yourself, one that will ensure you achieve what you set out for? The burning desire to search for these answers has become my life's passion, and the search has revealed to me an infinite source of intelligence and wisdom that waits patiently within every human. For so many individuals, that fighting spirit has dimmed over time, worn down by hardship, frustration, and disappointment. I am committed to showing people how to recapture that spirit. It's obvious that we all have visions of what we wish our life would be, but very few of us ever get to experience that life. Why not? Could it be reluctance to search deeper? Could it merely be not knowing how? Could it be psychological or emotional barriers that prevent our true powers from being displayed? The sad reality is that most people will go through life dreaming of another life that seems out of reach. The hope and faith in their own ability will be clouded by the stress and worry of everyday life. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29:18. One important truth that I learned is that every experience happens for a reason, to lead us to a point where we are to make a decision, which will ultimately determine how we live out the rest of our life. Wherever you are in your life, whatever your achievements are, or whatever you have set up to conquer, you are reading this book to make that very decision. One that will give you a fulfillment that you never knew existed. One that will drive you to that level you want to reach. One that will offer that healthy lifestyle you dream about. Attract that person you have searched for your whole life, or strengthen the relationship you are in. One that will guide you to achieve things you once thought impossible and master your financial state. One that will give you control of your emotions, break fears you thought would last forever, and propel you to wake up every day with an outlook on life that guides every step you take. A decision that ensures you hit the targets you aim for. Now, as much as this book is about how to make that crucial decision, it's also to create direction in your life, so that every decision will be made with the knowledge and strategies that are certain to elevate you to a level that will inspire others. It doesn't matter what level you currently consider yourself to be at, there is always room for growth. Just like any journey, this book contains steps. The first step, self-discovery. The knowledge to empower your life forever will do just that. Everyone I have come in contact with has shown interest in self-discovery, but has said that they wouldn't know where to start. This step is the most crucial in forming a lasting understanding of yourself and enhancing the ability to create change in an instant. The second step, energy. That fundamental force explains how to properly use that vast energy within your being. We all know that the more energy we direct towards something, the faster it happens. Most people expend all their energy on things that are actually destroying their life rather than enriching it. This is the ultimate guide to distinguish between the two and provide the knowledge that will raise your awareness forever. The third step. The system of achievement is the groundwork of everything you set out to achieve. I would never include anything in this book that I did not myself practice and use with my clients, and that did not have a basis in the practices used by the greatest in history. The detailed strategy in this section will give you the arsenal to excel. It will show you in a step-by-step process how to overcome any challenge in business, help you find what you are passionate about, and create the clarity and emotional charge that is needed to succeed. The fourth step, steer your relationships, will show you how to take immediate control of your relationship situation. Is your ship sailing smoothly or rockily, or is it yet to set sail? Whether you are currently struggling in your relationship and want to let go or striving to enhance it, this is your guide. It has also been designed for those who have been looking for their dream partner, but are unsure how to attract him or her. The fifth step, create a healthy physical existence, gives you the mindset and strategy to take charge of your health. We can all agree that our health is definitely one of the most important things in life. If it isn't to you, then you probably need to read this section more than anyone. Without a healthy body, your life is not successful, period. I'm qualified in personal training and have used my knowledge from previous clients to show the most effective ways to attain that body you want, but more important, the sense of feeling great about yourself. There is also detailed information about how the mind affects your body in every way imaginable. The sixth step, awaken your mind, unchain your heart, supports the magnitude of being consciously awakened, self-aware, and enlightened to the world around you. This journey through your emotional state will scientifically and morally prove how we are all one in essence. It looks at how your actions affect not only your own life, but the world at large. Walk with me as I go on my spiritual journey through Thailand to meet and stay with one of the most respected monks in the country. This step takes you through the vast influence we have on youth, from our children, nephews, and nieces, to the kid on the street. Nothing drives you more than being awakened to your role in this world. The seventh step, find fulfillment. A real success is the ultimate advantage one can have. No life is successful without fulfillment. Do not be mistaken. A great achiever is not always fulfilled. True success is fulfillment. Find out what makes us truly happy and knock down the social myth that has influenced our heart to believe that happiness is synthetic. That system has failed many throughout history, so don't allow yourself to be fooled any longer. True fulfillment does exist. That said, it would be absurd to attempt to minimize the enormity of the life-changing content in this book. I don't want any aspect of this journey to be tainted by an introduction that attempts to sum its power up in a few paragraphs. While this is a fun and interactive read, it does not sugarcoat anything. It is real, raw, and direct in its approach. It has the potential to bring out the absolute greatest qualities you have always had within you. Be ready to be intrigued, fascinated, and amazed. Not by this book, but by your own power. Man's mind, stretched by a new idea, never goes back to its old dimensions. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. It's not what you own in this world. It's what legacy you leave behind that matters. Say to yourself, I declare that I must master my life in every area. I will no longer settle for a life that is less than what I know I deserve. I have had enough experience to know one side of life, and now it's my time to shine. I will commit myself to enrich the quality of my life from what it is now. I will persist under any circumstance to act upon the tasks in this book, which are going to empower me forever. I will not leave any task undone. I will relentlessly work to empower my life and push beyond my known limits. I am responsible for shaping my destiny, and I trust my ability to see this book through. I understand that the only way to real success is by having a great state of mind, and I'm willing to work vigorously to create and enhance it. I am ready to live my life in the never-ending cycle of self-growth and use the unlimited power within my being. I am ready to attain a burning desire, compelling visions, and a passion for life that rises above all else. Absolute power of questioning. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Great questions, great answers. Regardless of your age, if you are breathing, then you are always ready for change. It might be in a relationship, a career, an old habit, an anger issue, or something that is really affecting your life. I want you to choose an issue and ask yourself, everything I have come to know in the last 18, 22, 45, or even 65 years, what impact has it had in this particular area of my life? Am I happy where I am? Have I attained fulfillment? Do I feel lost and confused? Now think back to how many times you have asked yourself those same questions. Do you see a pattern in your previous answers and your current ones? Unfortunately, most continue on a circular train track their whole life and are never able to implement real change. First, they don't build a belief in change, instead reminding themselves of why they think they can't change. And second, some people just don't know how to approach it. We are always gathering knowledge in life, but learning requires rapid action. You could watch someone change a car tire 20 times over, but unless you get down and do it, your knowledge is never tested, and you never learn. It seems a lot of us believe we are taking appropriate action, yet still feel as if we have failed. This is why we must direct that energy in a way that is going to be effective and implement lasting change. A lot of us have absorbed a lesson that if we change, then we are not being true to ourselves. Even our friends will have a dig at us and say things like, "You've changed," in a hurtful tone. This stance overlooks two truths. Change is extremely powerful, and more important, it's inevitable. Nothing remains the same. Every new moment, you are a new person, even physically. Not one single cell in your body has remained the same since you were born. This means we are always becoming. But what you are becoming depends on you. The challenge is that most people aren't becoming what they want. Something must change in order to grow, right? Whether it is financially, physically, emotionally, or mentally, the same rule applies. Proper questioning is the basis for directing change toward our immediate growth. It allows us to broaden the way we think and stop being narrow-minded, dismissing the false belief that there is only one option. Maybe you're asking yourself questions, but they're disempowering ones, and they're creating the same experiences. Stay away from such questions. When you change the way you think, you change the way you feel. When you change the way you feel, you change the way you act. When you change the way you act, you change your life. It starts by changing the way you... An unquestioned mind is the world of suffering. We need to ask questions that spur growth and prevent us from feeling as if we are insignificant and worthless. It's very important to ask and reflect on the question, "Who am I?" before anything else. This may seem a daunting question at first. However, probing deeper will unravel the truth. Not fully acknowledging the answer may cloud what you really want and deter you from ever experiencing greatness in life. Ask what type of person you are deep down, regardless of decisions you have made in the past. A few times in my life I've had people ask me, "Who are you?" But it wasn't until I came to peace with the answer myself that I answered it with certainty. Here are some questions that you can ask yourself to begin the process of self-reflection. These are questions I asked myself, but remember that everyone has moments when they fail to express their true character. For example, don't fixate on one time when you were mean and selfish if you know you're a loving person deep down. Take a few seconds to think as you go through each question. After going through those questions, did your mind automatically begin to remind you of times that you weren't that person? If that was the case, it's because your mind is still conditioned to looking at experiences, and especially yourself, in the worst possible way. If you are human, then I'm sure there have been times in your life when these positive attributes haven't been displayed. I'm definitely guilty of that. But it doesn't alter the fact that you are not that person deep down. Realistically, if you were doomed by every choice you made in life, you wouldn't even be this right now. So don't deliberately remember the times you fell short. Be intelligent and focus on the times you did display these qualities. Now, run through the questions again, but in addition ask this. When was a time that I did display this quality? After you do, come back and read on. The more you focus on being that great person, the more invigorated and energetic you feel. Did you feel proud of yourself when you went back to that moment? How did it compare with focusing on not being that person? Reminding yourself of these essential values to gain fulfillment will give you incentive to use them more often. If you truly don't think you are that great person, ask yourself, "How can I be?" And you will instantly be flooded with ideas. Further to that, if you don't want to be that great person, then unfortunately, that's the reason you are unfulfilled in the first place, never experiencing the true essence of life. In my opinion, that is a very sad life to live, and one I wouldn't accept for all the money in the world. The challenge isn't knowing who you are as a person, it's having the courage to act like the person you are. It seems that we are almost separated into two parts. One part is the me, and the other is the I. The me is all the social tags we adopt. For example, it is my duty to be a friend, a son, a brother, an author, and so on. It so happens that I am all these things, but weirdly enough, when I'm all alone and away from these duties, I find myself not being any of them. That's when I finally discover that the I is who I really am. It's those qualities within me, that diversity and ability to be everything and at times nothing. There are also times when you'll feel alienated from the world, and that's because people won't always understand the I, but they don't have to. You do. It's not until you are aligned with who you really are as a person, not who society brands you, that you will be eternally happy and live passionately every moment. I've experienced this personally. The outside pressure to be something in particular, to choose an identity and stick to it, created an expectation of myself that only made me feel worse. Every time I was sad, I was disappointed in myself because I thought I had to be happy. When I was weak, I thought I always had to be strong. When vulnerable, always secure. I had to finally accept that I'm human, and that it's okay to be different at different stages of my life. To feel differently, to think differently, to act differently. But the greatest thing I realized about being who I was is that I am human. And being human, I have these amazing qualities within me, at my disposal. That's what I built on, knowing that my great qualities could shape my life just as much as my bad ones that I used to focus so much on. I invite you to do the next task, which is life transforming. 1. Take 5 minutes and really reflect on those am I questions. Make sure you don't rob yourself of this opportunity. These are life-changing exercises. Write these down. Do not go on to task 2 until you have completed this one. You now swap the am and the I around. It should now read I am, followed by the quality. Write them down. 3. Next, take another few minutes and reflect on the new list you have written down. Close your eyes and repeat them in your mind, or say them out loud. Just make sure all your focus is on those qualities that have the power to change your life. It's usually not being sure of who we are that causes so much confusion when it's time to make a big decision. This creates clarity. If you're in a public place and you don't really want to scream how great you are, I suggest you do it in your mind for now. And don't forget to focus on how you feel when you read each I am statement. FFF, full focus on feeling. I don't even need to know you to know that you're a big softie deep down. By reaffirming those statements, you align yourself with who you really are. It's a very important key to finding happiness or success at any level. If completed correctly, that exercise is invigorating and fulfilling. See how easy it is to fill ourselves up once we focus all our energy on the qualities of life. That exercise can be done for any issue that you are facing to gain a clear consciousness, and I highly advise you do it on a daily basis for a while, especially when you wake up. I would never suggest something here that I don't personally do or use for others. I have used this on some of the most successful and fulfilled people I know, and it adds massive value to their life. The qualities mentioned above are just some examples. I'm sure you can think of more. You must start with I am, followed by a quality. Now that you covered some qualities that reflect who you really are, it allows you to properly assess decisions you make on a constant basis. I've also come to the conclusion that all human beings have the same true essence, regardless of religious background, social status, or past decisions. I have spoken to people from all walks of life, even some hardened criminals, and never had anyone refuse after enough probing to finally admit that they are all those great qualities deep down. We are human, and such qualities have been in us since birth. That's why babies bring so much joy to the people around them, like when you go to someone's house and everyone runs up to the baby. We nearly get into arguments over who's going to hold it first. It's amazing, and that's because babies just are who they are, pure love. They have not been restricted by social myth, and ego has yet to take control over their life. You must understand that your truth will never go away, and will always be there to correct you when you feel otherwise. It is also accessible for growth and learning. Hence, we can relate who we really are to any situation and any decision. I must ask you this question. Are you really being who you know you are? Nearly everyone I've asked has become defensive and answered with, "Of course I am." In my own experience, most times we are acting how we think we have to, not the way we truly want to. We think about what others are thinking about us. What are they going to think when I do this? What are they looking at? What makes them laugh? How do I have to be to fit in? What can I do to impress them? We have thoughts like, oh my God, they are all looking at me. Straighten up. No, don't look down. Look up. Look cool. And so on. We do this when we walk down the street, go for a run, visit the beach, or socialize. It's usually a subconscious reaction because we have repeated it throughout our life. If you say that you don't care about what others think or the effect they have on your life, that is an outright lie. If you didn't care what others thought, you would be walking around the streets naked. And I know I'm not alone with drifting off at some points and wondering what my funeral would be like. Come on, tell me that hasn't crossed your mind. What would people say about me? Would they cry? Would I be missed? How would they remember me? It's human nature to care what other people think. It's obvious that people are going to remember whatever legacy we leave behind. In order to leave a legacy, we must be our legacy now. The greatest legacy we can live and leave behind is to be who we really are. Doing this allows your true destiny to be displayed. If you don't know who you are, how can you make yourself happy? So are we being who we really are, or who we feel we have to be? It's a fine line, but with a bit of thought you will be able to distinguish between the two. Finding this distinction allows progress to soar. People will remember who you are, not what you have. Other important questions should arise about decisions you are making in life. You must be able to identify other options in order to change an old habit. Asking questions, then more probing questions, until you reach an answer that is beneficial is the key. Do not just stop at one, but ask yourself as many as you have to. In the beginning of my change, I began questioning everything about my life. I remember my friend asked me once if I was lost, because I was walking around the house in a daze. I said, I'm actually finding answers, which is the opposite of being lost. Initially, you might feel a bit uncomfortable with some answers, because your ego tries to stand in the way of getting the real truth out. Ask as many questions as you have to. You must remain strong throughout the process, and you can do this by weighing up your answers, your new beliefs, compared with the old lies. It even reaches a point where you should be so disgusted with your old ways that it turns into good frustration. Physically scream at yourself in the mirror if you feel the urge. I would personally repeat again and again, that life is destroying you. You're not going back under any circumstances. Do you understand? Yes. Then I would repeat, you're living a better life, you're living a better life, and so forth. Something I highly recommend if you find yourself battling the old habit. Say it with as much power as you can, so it feels like you just got a baseball bat and hit those old beliefs out of the park. Also, feel free to tell people about your change. I remember the day I stopped smoking, I went and told as many people as I possibly could. I made myself feel extreme pleasure and pride every time I did. I knew that if I began the habit again, everyone would consider me weak. But more important, I would consider myself weak. I reinforced the belief that if I started smoking again, I would not be successful in life. And every time it came to mind, I began to imagine the chemicals eating away at my body. As a result, the thought would make me nearly physically throw up. It sounds extreme, but when you think of the extreme effects smoking has on your health, it sounds like a pretty good substitute. The question is, how much do you want change? If I told you that you could change the direction of your life so that it would be more fulfilling right now, would you? If the answer is yes, then you acknowledge that there are areas of your life that you feel you are personally destroying. No one really wants to destroy their own life. Even though they might be doing just that doesn't mean it's what they want. Am I attracting what I want? When most people question, they don't go deep enough. They deliberately ignore the answers that will serve them. We are ready to move on to our next set of questions, which will enable us to clearly see what we want. We need to ask questions that will criticize our thinking patterns and the self-beliefs we have continually built, so we can come up with a strategic plan to implement life-changing replacements. If we don't question, we don't get answers, and hence, we will not get what we want. Don't ask how life is treating you. Ask how you are treating life. This shift allows you to see that you are not the victim of an unloved destiny, but equally the creator. You must think of where you are today and say whether who you really are balances out with what situations you are in. Then you must take sole accountability for all your actions that have caused you to be in this situation, as no one thinks, speaks, or ultimately makes decisions for you. The more we blame our situations on others and external events, the more we remove ourselves from ever experiencing the change we so desperately desire. Once we take responsibility, we are able to determine an action plan to obtain what we really want. Think how it feels as a passenger in a car. You may be on the highway, the car is speeding around bends, and all of a sudden you begin to feel a lack of control. The driver doesn't know what you're scared of, because to them they are driving normally. When you live in excuses, it seems as though everyone and everything else is in control of your life. When you feel that you are not in control, you experience fear. If you are not in the cycle of self-growth, then you are taking part in self-destruction. Taking accountability means owning your life and asking, what can I do differently? You must question everything about your life. Massive change comes through deep questioning, so you must refuse to stop asking until an answer aligns with your truth. When you are unsure about something or feeling stressed and worried, you should question until you get to its core. It's okay to take advice from those who clearly demonstrate an ability to have a positive effect on your life, but don't only believe what everyone else has to say. Many friends and family will feed your victimization because they love you. You ultimately know what is best for you, and you can't escape it. Once you take care of you, everyone else reaps the benefits as well. It takes one moment to change your course of direction, one decision that makes you step up to the greatness you deserve, and only one life to make it happen. Never give up on what you truly desire. If you don't think you really have a clear indication of what the answers are, think harder and implement some now. You must be specific. For the first question, examples would be, wanting to give your children the best life you possibly can, wanting to be the best person you know how to be, having that feeling of being in charge of your life, contributing to others, having that feeling of success, feeling healthy and fit, holding up that trophy, and many more. Those feelings must drive you because emotion precedes action. If you refer back to those feelings, you will soon get a whole different range of emotions on which to base your decisions. All successful people dedicate their life to finding solutions. This one question allows for responses that will benefit your current situation rather than asking, why can't I? A question that continually reaffirms to yourself that you can't create the life you desire. How can I? Forces you to come up with answers that will drive you. Let's now take a step into the zone that most of us find ourselves in, especially after a deep process of questioning. Being able to shift our mindset in a heartbeat when in this zone is essential for creating a life worth dreaming about. Uncomfortable in the comfort zone. Are you really comfortable where you are in life, or are you just settling because you don't believe you can get anything better? Most people I have met try to display that they are comfortable, yet once they really open up, it seems there are many things that they wish they could achieve or attain. It's then evident that they are quite uncomfortable. Every time someone asked me how I would reply with the words, not bad, or okay. It wasn't until I had the feeling of being great that I realized that a not bad life just isn't good enough. Life is made up of decisions we make, and accepting a not bad or even okay life is the case for most. People rarely admit when they aren't doing too well and believe that they can take cover behind lying to others and themselves. There is one fact you have to acknowledge. You can't run and hide from yourself because everywhere you go, there you are. The harsh reality is that most people aren't truly happy with where they are in life. They submit to beliefs that have made them feel that whatever they are is the most they can be, and they accept a life that never fulfills them. It's quite upsetting because I know that exact feeling, and I also know how it feels to be on the other side. This is one of the main reasons for dedicating my life to sharing this message. The first thing I would say is that facing it, rather than running, is the first step toward change. The questions we asked in the last chapter are a great start. They all lead us to a point of acknowledgement. We seem to be blind to the powerful part of that word, acknowledgement. We can have all the knowledge in the world, have 10 university degrees, have traveled the globe, or know how to speak 5 different languages. But if we don't have true knowledge of ourselves, we will never create the life we want. Coming to realizations about where you are in life due to past events, decisions you are making now, and how it can affect what you create next is the greatest knowledge you can obtain. It allows you to truly come to the understanding that your life has always been controlled by you. Taking accountability for the state you find yourself in will allow you to make the changes needed to drive your life to a new level. Does making mistakes along the way mean you are back to where you started? The intelligent answer is no, but many people fall into the trap of giving up when they've made a mistake. So why do so many people become disheartened on their journey to create an extraordinary life? They rarely look at the progress they've made, but will always notice what's wrong. As you progress through your self-discovery, you will realize that rather than only seeing some beliefs and decisions as wrong, they actually promote massive progress. Your beliefs advance from one another and assist one another in growing. They all have purpose. No matter how badly you think you screwed something up, you can't change it, but you can learn from it. And if you're judging yourself for doing something wrong, then logically you're acknowledging that you can do it differently next time. You're learning to reason with yourself and becoming more self-aware. The more you ignore and disregard your ability to reason with yourself, the more energy you're putting toward a life you don't want to live. It's up to you to learn along the journey, and that's what we're all on, a journey of self-growth. No one is going to just come along and drop fulfillment into your lap. If that were the case, the great life would be a lot easier to achieve. Setbacks are still steps forward on your journey if you look hard enough. They have an important role to play. In order for you to see your actions as negative, you must be able to identify the flip side. You can take action to get back on the right path and don't have to submit to the belief that it's just the way it is. This awareness will allow you to put a strategy in place to eliminate negative thoughts that are continually having a detrimental effect in your life. Another way of looking at negativity is that it reminds you that you are making progress. Most people surrender to negative perceptions subconsciously, but by being consciously aware that a thought is negative, you are becoming more emotionally intelligent. You are using your mind to distinguish and correct rather than just accept. Instead of beating yourself up over thinking or acting negatively, view these experiences as a chance to learn and implement change. The logic and unlogic. You've heard it all before, the logical and illogical sides of the brain. Becoming aware of and able to compare the two is your greatest asset to strengthen your success. You should use the logical side of your brain as your defense mechanism against those decisions that are leading you toward feelings that don't really fulfill you. It will prevent you from being in situations where you question the same thing 100 times over, even though you are already aware of the answer that is beneficial. You will recognize in time that it will be hard not to make a decision without assessing it and finding answers that spur growth. Choosing your true side of logic will become quite natural. We make ourselves believe we have no control over the way we feel or what decisions we make, quick to throw the blame on someone or something else. We will blame it all on people around us, certain situations, or even drugs. Are they really the challenge, or is it just that you are unaware that you have always been in full control of your own emotional state? We choose to let people and situations take our happiness. We willingly submit and hand it over to them. Realistically, a situation just is, which means it's up for whatever you wish to attach to it. That's why so many people can have completely different views on exactly the same situation. We must look at it intelligently and let our initial knee-jerk reaction and common sense be good guides. We know the truth immediately, yet sometimes we are good at talking ourselves out of it. The control has always been there for your life. Sometimes you just choose not to use it. Differentiate between right and wrong, negative and positive, and the logical and illogical, and then use it to your benefit. In order to grow, you must take action based on your knowledge. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant. We have all reached points in life where it felt as if there was nowhere to turn. Some of us have even hit points where our whole life, not just one aspect, is distorted. It then seems as if we are truly lost on this journey we call life. It's a feeling of hopelessness, of desperation, and of no sense of direction. If you are at this point in your life in one or all areas, I would like to explain that you are actually at a great spot. Yes, that's right, a great spot. I know you're probably swearing at the book and thinking I'm a madman, but just hear this out. You are on a journey and you have been walking for days. Along the way, you have felt a sense of unfamiliarity, yet you have continued to walk anyway. You're walking along singing and all of a sudden you stop. It hits you. You finally realize that you have been traveling a different path than you meant to this whole time. A point of awareness has just shown itself. Thoughts start rushing through your mind, questions begin to appear, and panic takes over your emotional state. Then you snap out of it and recognize that you'd better pull yourself together. If you don't think about your previous steps as a means to gather knowledge to get back on track, then you will sit there paralyzed by your thoughts and die of thirst. At this point, you are actually in a good place, because if you never had that feeling of being lost, who knows where you would have ended up. Even when you look back at those previous steps, you stop cursing yourself for taking them, because you know it's just making things worse. You are now going to start using the information you obtained from those past steps to help yourself back on your intended path. And more important, to arrive at that desired destination. When one door closes, another opens, but we often look so long and so regretfully upon the closed door that we do not see the one which has opened for us. When you feel like you are declining in life, it may just be the complete opposite. You have actually advanced to a stage where you recognize how you must change in order to grow. Most people in society call a point of awareness rock bottom. I refrain from using that metaphor because to me it is false. I believe you have actually gone up at these points, because without them you wouldn't make the crucial decisions that change your life forever. It's as if you have prevented yourself from going deeper into your confusion and pain. Often the most valuable information can be gathered from times that seem the most hopeless or distressing. I guess it's some greater force telling us that we need to wake up. A point of awareness forces you to reassess every step you took. And if you learn from this experience, it also reminds you to carefully assess future steps that are taken. Why is it that people usually find true direction in life at a time that seems the most confusing? My opinion is that when all roads seem to be blocked, there is only one way, and that is through. The certainty of appreciation. There was once a man who was complaining about only having one pair of shoes until he met a man with only one leg. Don't hate, appreciate. It doesn't matter what situation you are in, consciously summoning deep gratitude will enhance the quality of your life. We get so caught up with things that we want, experiences we have had, the hustle and bustle of working life, raising children, or getting our finances on track that we neglect to be grateful for what we have. How can we ever be happy if we are not content with who we are and appreciative of the only thing that is ever real right now? I mean, even if we go and make $1 million and then want another million, then another, we are still at that point of emptiness and unfulfillment. It's the same story with every area of our life. If we don't take a moment to really appreciate the most important things, then we are never going to be happy. It's not wrong to keep wanting. We are human after all, but we can't forget the feeling that fulfills us: gratitude. The day I realized I had been leaving it out, I came up with an adage that I now repeat every morning. A wise man never dwells on what he doesn't have. He remains in constant appreciation of what he has already, while being in pursuit of what he wants. It's the same with everything. If we don't use it, we lose it. The challenge is that most don't remind themselves how to love life, so they forget. Instead, they continually practice how to hate it, so they get damn good at that. Time is our most precious commodity. If you're not using it wisely, you're wasting it ignorantly. The only thing that can ever fulfill us is gratitude, acknowledging the beauty of what we have and who we really are. When I ask people what they think the most important things are in life, I usually hear the same answers. Family, friends, faith, and even being alive all make the top of the list. Would you agree? The most important things in life deserve nothing less than constant reminders. Then why don't we remind ourselves? If we do not make a daily conscious effort to recognize these things, the truth is, we will search around in the dark looking for a happiness that has been with us our whole life. Ignoring what you already have is the major factor I see in unhappiness. I urge you to ask and answer this question with sincerity. In your life, what means the most to you? Write a list. Whatever makes the list is a priority, so treat it that way, and make reading the list a part of your daily routine. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. Appreciation is truly the ultimate feeling, as it is the only thing that knocks down the body of ego. How many times have you wanted to tell someone whom you really love how much you appreciate everything they have ever done for you? I bet you've wanted to express your appreciation far more often than you have done it. The reason is our body of ego stands in the way. This one guy taunted me, saying he didn't have a body of ego, and I replied that he had just demonstrated it. We all have it. If we didn't, we wouldn't be human. We so often feel that great love and just wish we knew how to share it without being embarrassed. When you are in a state of appreciation, it really trains you to express that love, which means you in turn receive it. The feeling, invisible to our eyes, is euphoric. It is feeling, and feeling is power. This simple quality of life is also crucial for success. It allows us to utilize our time efficiently and recognize every step we take. We are grateful for the time we have now, so it prevents us from just waiting around and procrastinating. We take full responsibility for our actions in the present, which allows us to really embrace our decisions as an opportunity for growth. More important, we begin to praise ourselves for who we really are, and it builds the faith and respect within us to be in pursuit of what we want. It aligns us with our friend fear, and it promotes us to work to our peak with a broadened mind. It truly helps us enjoy the process of success because we go in with the attitude of nothing to lose, everything to gain. Courage soon follows. For most, there are barriers that restrict them from discovering their slumbering power. Appreciation helps break down those psychological and emotional walls. It allows you to be more vibrant, loving, and happy, all those other qualities that are crucial for a successful life. If you begin to love life, you embrace it for the beauty and mystery it is, and that's what creates empowering energy. Appreciation is the key to letting your spirit take over your life. By adding such a simple ritual to your daily life, you will create a world of difference. Success without appreciation is no success at all. Appreciation is a wonderful thing. It makes what is excellent in others belong to us as well. State of appreciation. To get up each morning with the resolve to be happy is to set our own conditions to the events of each day. To do this is to condition circumstances instead of being conditioned by them. You can only imagine what a difference it will make every day to go through a list of things that you appreciate in the morning. Most wake up in the morning complaining, feet dragging halfway across the room. They have 2 coffees and still seem to be tired. I used to sulk so much in the morning that at times I came to tears. I once had someone say to me, "The reason I complain all the time is because crap keeps happening in my life." I turned to him and said, "The truth is, the reason crap keeps happening in your life is because you don't stop complaining." When we complain, we become the victim. When we are the victim, we don't get what we want in life. We get more of what we don't want. The energy that you carry from that dismal beginning will surely lead to you having a miserable day. In all honesty, how do you think the day is going to turn out? What hope are you giving it to improve, and what incentive is there for life to give back if you disrespect it before you have even started your day? In order to make your day fulfilling, it is imperative that you begin by shifting your focus to the great things in life. If you do this for a few days, giving up the practice of appreciation will not be an option, because the results are just too outstanding. You should also try to maintain that mood as much as you can, but even after a week or so, you will see that mood starting to become your nature. If you appreciate things, people around you will pick up that attitude as well. But to start, I'm asking you to allocate time first thing in the morning to get into a state, because that's what conditions you. When you appreciate something, you don't abuse it. Learn to appreciate all that's life. How many people do you know who have taken medication for anxiety and intense nerves, but still have the same troubles? They pop those pills for years to no avail, but amazingly, what I have seen from my own experience is that as soon as people become aware of their ability to recondition their own state, they are able to heal themselves. Branding an emotional or mental state separates you from having full control over it. And by continuing to tell people that you have depression, you will never be able to take control over your life. I'm not saying that some people aren't suffering from mental illness, but I like to keep the faith that many of us can overcome difficult emotional or mental states with the right tools, not by taking a pill every time we feel sad. We can continue to suppress issues with a pill, but that's exactly what it does. Suppress. True healing means you must get to the source, and that is within. It's all about healing, not suppression. Branding an emotional or mental state separates you from having full control over it. And by continuing to tell people that you have depression, you will never be able to take control over your life. I'm not saying that some people aren't suffering from mental illness, but I like to keep the faith that many of us can overcome difficult emotional or mental states with the right tools, not by taking a pill every time we feel sad. We can continue to suppress issues with a pill, but that's exactly what it does. Suppress. True healing means you must get to the source, and that is within. It's all about healing, not suppression. Your time to shine is going to determine how your destiny is shaped. It is to be done in the morning, preferably for an hour. If you say you don't have the time, I have a great solution. Wake up earlier. An hour ritual consists of getting into an SOA, state of appreciation, as well as creating perfect scenarios in your mind of what you want your life to be, state of certainty. You must set up an attitude that will last through the whole day. If you won't spare an hour to vastly improve the quality of your life, then at least create half that time. Even 15 minutes if you must, but I know you can create more time if you are committed to it. Here's an example of my personal ritual for getting into a state of appreciation. After that, you'll move on to creating your own. Always begin by saying, "Thank you for being alive." Also end with repeating, "Right now I'm alive," with absolute conviction until you feel pumped. This task in the morning is conditioning yourself to change your state in an instant. A must if you want an extraordinary life. In order to be abundantly happy, you must learn to ignite your own empowering emotions. It is important that you feel the significance of what you are appreciating and totally embrace it. Feel those qualities within you, the house that shelters you, or the hug from your loved one. FFF, full focus on feeling, raises hidden and fulfilling emotions, which is the key to this exercise. This only takes around 5 to 10 minutes to read while stationary, so if you say you don't have the time to read it, are you really being true to yourself? The rest of your time to shine can be done while getting ready. If you don't have enough time, stop watching so much TV. By continually practicing this exercise alone and making it a ritual before starting your day, your life will be enhanced radically. Think of the difference when starting off your day with this, rather than hating the world for having to wake up. Demanding a fulfilling state also allows you to prove to yourself that you choose your own emotions. Allocating this time to shine will condition your nervous system to experience fulfillment on a regular basis. You now have enough information to go out on your own for 3 consecutive days and practice these tasks. It's part of the program in this book, so if you don't do it, then you should really consider passing the book on to someone else. We have all been given the keys to life. Some just refuse to open the doors. I know you are reading this book to make real change in your life, so please give yourself this opportunity. Really successful people do what everyone else brands as stupid, which is why they are so different. You are to write your SOA list in the order that was given, read it for the next 3 mornings, and practice maintaining that mood during the day. This is it, discovering the balance between fulfillment and the drive to achieve. Remember, the change starts with you. Once that begins to happen, everything else starts to change with it. Those 3 days before reading on are a must. And if you really want a powerful start to your day, write this on a big piece of paper or somewhere that is highly visible in the morning. Whatever I do today, I will commit to doing it with love and in happiness. As challenging as it may be, I will not allow anything to overpower my great emotions, and I will get through it. Only those few who take action get the results that everyone else dreams about. Stop, go back. You are not to read on until this task is completed. These tasks are designed to properly train your mind and ease you into the process as everyone else, who gained abundance in their life has done. Not reading on just yet is also a great test of patience, a quality that is necessary to achieve what you set out for. Take action on this, or else you learn nothing. Appreciate on a daily basis and create that time to shine.
Who says you can't? You do. Part 2. What you believe, you create. Regardless of what events take place, it is always our choice what meaning we give to them. The current beliefs we choose to live by create or contribute to all of the experiences we have. Regardless of what area of life it is, they can be the basis for change or the reason we seem motionless. What exactly are beliefs? Usually they are nothing more than opinions that have been fed to us by other people, a chosen perception built from experience, and thoughts that have been repeated to you or that you have repeated to yourself. We hear things on the radio, see them on TV, and learn through friends and family. Do we ever sit back and think about the source from which information stems? Most things are just one individual's opinion, and we know there are a lot of those flying around. It's crucial that we probe our beliefs to get to the truth. There are two kinds of critics. One is a coward who gains his glory by attacking things he never had the courage to do. The other is courageous enough to tell you that cowards never make it. Learn to utilize both of them. How often do we let our limiting beliefs prevent us from taking action in our life? Funnily enough, we even let other people's limiting beliefs hold us back. We associate feelings of pleasure or pain with every belief we have, and that's what ultimately shapes our destiny. The actions we take toward life every day are also the result of our beliefs. We have found out that a belief is nothing more than an idea or chosen perception that is repeated. We create a specific idea of what we think an experience means. For example, we might create a belief that we are unlovable in the aftermath of a breakup. We then mentally, verbally, and physically act accordingly. We stick to one perception and repeat it many times until we build our own beliefs around it. Our vocabulary and body language even align with the belief systems we have built. Imagine someone in a relationship in which their partner habitually disrespects them. While telling others about the situation, they use negative language, frown, and shake their head in disgust. By now, it has tainted their trust in relationships altogether. The next time they see a happy couple smooching in the park, they follow exactly the same pattern. Realistically, it's just a loving couple, but to this person it represents heartache. Maybe you have heard that we cannot deliberately or consciously build beliefs. That is a lie. I know there have been things in your life that you once thought you couldn't do. Once you shifted all your focus and resources to doing it, you discovered you were more than capable. You may not have believed you could run that distance, leave that person, build a relationship, make that much money, get past that fear, or break that habit. Eventually, you built up enough emotional momentum to enforce a whole set of new beliefs. When you made yourself believe that you could, you did it with conviction. All the beliefs that are currently shaping your life have been built by you. That means you have the power to create and build new beliefs that will change your life forever. The mysterious thing is that it actually doesn't take long at all. In order to speed up the process, you must become forceful and intense with your new beliefs. For example, when you say, "I can't do that," or "that's impossible," you must immediately command a physical and verbal alternative. Build up your state of mind and demand with all your power that you take control. Go through your day repeating, "I can do it. I can do it. I can do it," and "nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible." I would repeat the new things I wanted to believe with so much emotional power that I gave my old self no real choice but to surrender. The more you repeat it, the more you believe it. It is very important to understand that we create whatever we want to believe. It is also essential that we align our mental, verbal, and physical actions to build a new belief. The strongest way to build these beliefs is to acknowledge what you're doing when you're doing it. If it is patience you are demonstrating when waiting in traffic, don't just sit there and take it for granted. Acknowledge that you are being patient right now and be proud of it. This goes for every area of our life and is an extremely strong tool in determining who we are becoming. Reinforcement is the number one key to building and strengthening beliefs. All successful people know that beliefs are the foreground of creating anything in their life. Answer the following question and come up with as many empowering beliefs as you can think of. What would I have to believe in order to get what I want? Example: I want to be healthy and fit. New belief: I would have to believe that I will never get what I want in life unless I commit to living a healthy lifestyle. I would have to believe that I would never get that person I dream of. I would have to believe that my health is the most important thing in my life. Without respecting my body, I will never respect my life. Be creative, as you are the one who picks your beliefs. These beliefs are writing your experience. Once you write down all the beliefs that you desire, use reinforcement as much as you can. Repeat them throughout your day and in the face of experience. Overpower your old, limiting beliefs, and you will see that after a while they will diminish and the new ones will get stronger. What you think, you believe. What you believe, you create. We must also build what I call an ABS, absolute belief system, in order to succeed at a level that most of the world would deem unrealistic. Is there anything in the world that man has created that someone else wouldn't have called unrealistic before its existence? If you take a good look around, you will notice that most people would have perceived every creation to be impossible before it was created. Who would have ever thought that we would be able to talk to someone halfway across the world with a gadget the size of our hand? Self-taught engineer Dr. Percy Spencer invented the microwave, and you can just imagine trying to tell people 300 years ago that we were going to cook food with no fire. We have flown to the moon and back, can see other people who are thousands of miles away as if they are right in front of us, and can check local movie times through wireless internet. I was already amazed with wired internet, and then they had to go and bamboozle me and make it wireless. Take a look at anything around you right now, and you will see that it had to have started as a mental picture in someone's mind. Do you realize how fascinating, amazing, and mysterious it is to see something in your mind, then create it to be right in front of you? How is this possible? A simple explanation would be that it began as a vision followed by a belief system around it. Those beliefs resulted in the vision becoming a reality in the mind, which then caused it to come into existence through appropriate action. Trying to ultimately explain this phenomenon is impossible. It is one of the mysteries of life. And just because we don't fully understand it, it doesn't mean that it's not our gift to put it into practice every day. Here is a strategy and simple experiment that might help you out. 1. Concept. Close your eyes and visualize holding a piece of paper in front of your face with your name written on it. Do this for 10 seconds. See the letters and feel the paper, but only in your mind. This is only a mental vision, so make sure you do nothing physically. 2. Action. Did you see that paper with your name on it? Now, get out a piece of paper and a pen and physically write your name on it. 3. Creation. Hold it in front of your face. It's real. Touch it. Do you now see that you actually just created that? Where was it before you were able to touch it? It was just a figment of your imagination, right? You just brought something that was only in your mind into reality. You saw the future, took action, and created it. For a moment, comprehend the magnitude this capability can have on your life. I want you to think back to a time when you have really felt something, visualized over it, and it has come about. It may have been a new car, an outfit, or a holiday. Practice this strategy with anything that you want, and you will realize that you have been creating your whole life. People ask me, how do I create things in my life like others? I explain that they have always been doing it. The difference is that they are not aware of what they are creating. If you want to create something large, you might have to take more action. Everything comes with its challenges, but if you are committed to making your vision real, you will find a way through or around the obstacles. This world is a place of endless possibilities, and it's not until you acknowledge that you have always had the power to create that you finally realize anything is possible when you believe it is. You can actually create anything you desire. The only one stopping you is you. If you think of something, see the end result, and believe it will work, then it can. Most of the time, people will talk themselves out of it or convince themselves why it won't work. This is usually due to other people's opinions or letting the idea slip away before it can be reinforced. Successful people talk themselves into it and give many reasons why it will work. They focus on how they can do it and repeat it many times with so much conviction that it becomes a belief that consumes their life. They don't rely on others to build their belief. They know that when they believe it enough, others will follow. Even when we buy a car, it's highly recommended that it be equipped with anti-lock brakes. Having an anti-lock braking system, ABS, in a car prevents the wheels from locking up or ceasing to rotate while braking. It also allows you to steer the car in the direction that you want in an emergency braking situation. When we have an ABS, absolute belief system, in life, we don't just sit there and wonder all day. We get those wheels rotating and acting. We view everything as a realistic possibility, and that's what causes us to steer our life in the direction we want. But there are particular beliefs that prevent us from creating such a system. Why is it that sometimes we know exactly what we want, have a plan, but for some reason don't take the appropriate action? I couldn't count how many times I have heard someone say, "I just don't know what's holding me back." It seems that when we think of an empowering direction or something that will satisfy our wants, we automatically shift our focus to what we must sacrifice to get it. Rarely do we remain focused on what we are actually gaining, hence many fall back into the trap of procrastination. When in pursuit of what you want, if you think of sacrifice, it makes it a lot harder to focus on the journey ahead. When you think of the sacrifices, everything seems too hard. Do yourself a favor, focus on what you are gaining. This topic also asks the question, are we really losing when in pursuit of what we want? If you remain focused on the benefits, it becomes apparent that you actually sacrifice nothing. But on so many occasions, we neglect this aspect of success and will submit to the weaker approach. We do this because it seems easier at the time to do what we have always done. We all know that produces the same results. Is it really easier to let 10 years pass and realize you haven't achieved what you wanted? Now is a better time than ever. So let's go through some common conflicting beliefs. I want a partner, but if I get one, I will lose my freedom. I want to be successful, but I still want to sleep until 1 p.m. and drag through my day. I want to get fit, but that equals pain. I want to follow my passion, but if I charge people for it, they may think I am all about the money. I want to do what I love, but if I do, my parents will think I'm worthless. If I become wealthy, the people around me will feel worthless and not trust me. I want to sell my services, but I don't want to give off the impression that I am just doing it for the money. I want to be healthy, but I want to continue to eat junk food on a regular basis. I want to make massive changes in my life, but I want my friends to still like me. I want to make a lot of money, but if I do, it may mean I am not spiritual or religious anymore. I want to be healthy, but I still want to smoke and paralyze myself with alcohol. I want to own my own business, but I don't want to be embarrassed if it doesn't do well. I want to stop smoking, but I want to release stress. These are a few common conflicts I have come across in my time. It's like one thing is pulling us one way, while something else is tugging on the other side. With all this confusion, how can we ever get what we want? Here is an extremely effective strategy when you find yourself in one of these situations. 1. Identify. First, you must discover and get to the bottom of the conflict. Have a clear indication of what you want and be aware of what other beliefs are stopping you. An example would be the list we just went through. 2. Question. Next, you need to question what you have identified. Which one is more important to you? Which one is going to have more meaning in your life? Which one can enhance the quality of your life? Which one helps you create more energy and take action toward the bigger picture? What is going to help you grow and progress in life? Which out of the two do you value more? Will you ever ultimately be happy if you don't choose the fulfilling option? Which one can add more value to your life? How will your life look in the future if you do not face your fear? How will this decision ultimately make you feel about yourself once it's made? Could choosing the disempowering option affect future decisions you have to make? Think of more questions. 3. Align. From the questions, give enough great answers for the belief that is obviously going to fulfill you. Align yourself with these beliefs and reinforce them. Once you align yourself with the empowering beliefs associated with your real wants, you will hit your target. There is nothing pulling you on the other side anymore because you have overpowered it with enough emotion. Seeing that we just covered how beliefs influence every area of our life, it is important to look at the scientific evidence behind these methods. Without enjoying the process, there is no success in what you do. Neuroplasticity. Rewiring your brain. As you continue on your journey, you will soon be amazed to see that you are attracting things that help make sense of the great changes you are making. I told people about the changes I had been through and helped them with theirs. I would tell them that it was as if I was able to rewire my mind. For centuries, the human brain has been thought of as incapable of fundamental change. People suffering from neurological defects, brain damage, or strokes were usually written off as hopeless cases. Recent and continuing research into the human brain is radically changing how we look at the potential for neurological recovery. The human brain, as we are quickly learning, has a remarkable ability to change and heal itself. In fact, even to rewire itself. This has caused the old dogma to be thrown out. In other words, you are physically changing your brain with every thought you have. Neuroscience experiment, connection between mind and body. The power of the mind is everything, and any successful person will tell you that. Everything you ever do or create is a result of your thoughts. If you are someone who doesn't believe that mind and body are one, you have obviously never had a sexual fantasy before. Further to that, you must have never felt a churning in your stomach when worried about something, never jolted when confronted with a fear, or experienced that overwhelming feeling in your chest when you see the person that you love. Our amazing brain. The brain does not know the difference between what it sees in its environment and what it remembers, because the same specific neural nets are firing. The brain is made up of tiny nerve cells called neurons. These neurons have tiny branches that reach out and connect to other neurons to form a neural net. Each place where they connect is integrated into a thought or a memory. Now, the brain builds up all its concepts by the law of associative memory. For example, ideas, thoughts, and feelings are all constructed then interconnected in this neural net, and all have a possible relationship with one another. The concept and the feeling of love, for instance, is stored in the vast neural net, but we build the concept of love from many other different ideas. For some people, love is connected to disappointment. When they think about love, they experience the memory of pain, sorrow, anger, and even rage. Rage may be linked to hurt, which may be linked to a specific person, which then is connected back to love. Who is in the driver's seat when we control our emotions or response to emotion? We know physiologically the nerve cells that fire together, wire together. If you practice something over and over, those nerve cells have a long-term relationship. If you get angry on a daily basis, frustrated on a daily basis, if you suffer and give reason for the victimization in your life, you're rewiring and reintegrating that neural net on a daily basis. That net then has a long-term relationship, called an identity, with all those other nerve cells. We also know that when nerve cells don't fire together, they no longer wire together. They lose their long-term relationship because every time we interrupt the thought process that produces a chemical response, those nerve cells that are connected to each other start breaking their long-term relationship. When we start interrupting and observing, not by stimulus and response to the automatic reaction, but by observing the effects it takes, then we are no longer the emotional person who is responding to an environment on automatic. A life of reaction is a life of slavery, intellectually and spiritually. One must fight for a life of action, not reaction. Every day, we are making neural nets stronger if we consistently repeat thoughts. Just think of it as someone tying a piece of rope together in your mind. When you repeat a thought, a word, or a physical action, another piece of rope, neuron, is attached, only to make the net larger and have more of an effect in your life. The beliefs we have about the outside world, success, relationships, our finances, and so on, appear the way we create them to be. So how about if we broke the pattern and replaced it with an empowering alternative? If we fed those positive thoughts, which become beliefs, which turn into emotion, which then cause us to act, would they force us to make different decisions that ultimately shape our life? Of course they would, and that's exactly what we are going to do. Don't think that the tasks we are going to complete are just wishful thinking. They are creating new neural nets, NNN. So limiting beliefs are diminished and your true power is finally realized. Breaking old habits. Throughout your life, you have applied the notions of pleasure and pain to every decision you have made. The experiences of pleasure and pain are fundamental to humans. They are the basis of change, or, on the other hand, the reason we continue to have the same experiences. Our perceptions and our belief system control what we associate pleasure and pain with. We make drastic decisions that change our life forever as a result of massive shifts of emotion. Just think back to life-changing decisions you have made that altered the direction you were going. Were they the result of an emotional explosion? It's similar to shaking a can of soda and then opening it. The pressure causes it to explode and forces the liquid in a completely different direction. You have always created that pressure within yourself, and who's to say you can't build it again with things you deliberately want to change? The truth is, you can. Sometimes you just need a good shake. We can adapt pleasure or pain to anything we desire. It all depends on how we choose to look at it. People habitually do the same thing over and over again until they have created a neural net that is similar in strength to a post stuck firmly in the ground. In order to make immediate change in your life, regardless of whether it's a habit, fear, phobia, or your perception, you must look at the effect it's having on your life and the associations of pleasure and pain you have adapted. The following steps can be taken to break down and interrupt anything you consider a habit. For example, looking down when people talk to you, smoking cigarettes, overeating, or thinking negatively about a particular person. I use this to break habits such as smoking, not believing in myself, and, most important, my drug abuse. It got me through fears that I had and other habits that were restricting me. 1. Know what you want, for example. If what you want is to quit smoking cigarettes, you might say, to be healthy and fit, to be able to play at the park with my children or grandchildren one day, to discover my power, to know that I can achieve, to attend my child's wedding, to be really successful, to take control over my life. After you have written down what you ultimately want, you must pick something that is going to take the place of the old habit immediately. What do I want to do instead of smoking? What do I want to do instead of overeating? What do I want to do instead of stressing? Whatever your habit is, make sure you choose one alternative to put in its place. Instead of smoking, I want to eat more greens. 2. Know what's stopping you. You have probably been making the mistake of normalizing the situation. Normalize. You say, I have a bad relationship, as if you have nothing to do with creating the relationship. That is detachment, so you may feel better in the short term. It is like you are separate from your experience and have no control over it. If the relationship is bad, it is out of my control and outside of my responsibility. Instead, you must denormalize. I am relating poorly. Take ownership. If it's something that I'm doing, I can do it differently. For the smoking example, the answer to know what's stopping you would be my choice to kill myself by smoking cigarettes rather than just cigarettes. We must take ownership so that we are able to make lasting change. If I told you to sit there and hear that voice saying, you need a cigarette right now, to really feel the sensation of picking it up and inhaling a puff, you would desire a cigarette. But the cigarette is nowhere in sight. So was it your mind that gave you the feeling, or the cigarette itself? It could not have been the physical cigarette. It's how you think about the cigarette that gives you the sensation, not the cigarette itself. Someone else might see the same cigarette and want to vomit because they think differently about it, right? This applies to anything. All sensations and desires emerge from the mind. Once you take responsibility and acknowledge that it's actually all in your mind, you can make lasting change. It would be the same if I told you to close your eyes and imagine something really hurtful that someone has said to you in the past. Take some time now and think hard about it. How did you feel in that moment? Did the same emotions of frustration, sadness, or anger churn within you? That person isn't actually here saying it to you, are they? But you experience the same feelings through the vast neural net you have created in your brain. This is due to your thoughts. This realization allows you to acknowledge that you have options rather than thinking you are stuck to one. Our thoughts are our choice. Tapping into your mind. Once you are aware of what you want and what's stopping you, then it's time for a small but powerful task. Nothing is going to change unless you tap into your subconscious mind. A great way of doing this is to start building your new neural net by rehearsing the reaction that you really want when faced with an old habit. Constant repetition is what makes something a habit, so we should start breaking it right now. Close your eyes and envision the reaction you want as realistically as you possibly can when you are about to fall into an old habit. Feel the emotions of being faced with the old habit and create a perfect scenario of breaking it immediately with the new habit. This will bring forth new powerful emotions. Going back to the smoking example, you would visualize wanting a cigarette and then saying, no. You would imagine exactly how you would feel by doing that and make it as real in your mind as you possibly can. Would you feel proud, strong, or in control? What would your facial reaction be? Would you be smiling after you have said no? Do this around 25 times, which only takes around 5 to 10 minutes. This is a great start. because it allows you to see and create the new option that is just as real as your previous automated response of giving in. In order to reach any desired level in our life, we must mimic how we would act if we were already there. If you want to be mentally strong, you must practice being mentally strong. 3. Standard association. What do you stand for? What do you teach others? What do you pride yourself on? As you have probably already noticed throughout the book, I'm extremely big on being truthful to yourself and enforcing it any way you can. We all have certain standards and values that we attempt to live by on a daily basis. We so often contradict our core beliefs due to the habits that we have put in place. Every time we do it, we seem to get weaker because we break down our emotional state. The cause of this is sometimes only that we avoid reasoning with ourselves. We will refuse to look at the truth because it seems too painful to bear. Facing those core values and standards is our ticket to an empowering life. This is the initial step in getting leverage. Go back to your wants list and analyze it properly. It seems that the reason you wrote down all those wonderful things is they reflect who you really are as a person, rather than what you have conditioned yourself to be. Questioning is the greatest tool one can use to shift a certain mindset and begin breaking an old pattern immediately. If you have written down on your wants list that you would like to walk your daughter down the aisle on her wedding day, but you find more pleasure in smoking, then you need to reevaluate your standards. The reason you mention that on your wants list is because you love her, right? But when you really love someone, are you selfish in the process? Are you demonstrating your love for her? Or are you in fact stating the complete opposite with your daily decisions? If you really loved her, then you wouldn't do what you are doing. If you have written down that you want to be healthy and fit, that is because you ultimately see that you have respect for yourself. If you didn't, you wouldn't have even picked up this book. Does someone who respects themselves and preaches to their loved ones to do the same disrespect their life by overeating? You get my drift. These are questions that we must enforce to begin the leverage process. Questioning your core beliefs and weighing what you want from your life against the current decisions you are making creates a massive shift of emotion. If you think your standards are currently low in your life, raise the bar. Only by raising our standards can we ever find the power to reach new peaks. 4. Break the pattern. Turn up the heat, then cool down. How is this habit affecting me mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially? This is the task where you are required to get massive leverage over yourself. Do you know the phrase, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen? We are now going into the kitchen. When you were a child and touched something that was extremely hot for the first time, it created a pain so strong that you knew you never wanted to touch it again. We need to hit the maximum pain threshold now. This step requires you to get into a really deep thought process and ask yourself probing questions. Basically, we are going to apply extreme emotional pain to not stopping your habit, phobia, or fear. For a brief moment, I want you to imagine the feeling you get when you see an electric appliance next to water. How have you conditioned yourself to react? In order to break the current habit, you need to condition a similar response. Go back to all those things you want out of life and think of never getting them. Referring back to the smoking example, this is how it would go. You would envision walking around with a tube stuck down your throat. You would imagine being terminally ill when your children are still young or when grandchildren are born. You would feel the extreme pain and torment you would put your family through. You would imagine inhaling a cigarette, follow the smoke into your body, and watch it physically destroy your insides. Close your eyes and make it so real that it makes you nearly physically sick. It might even do just that and put a disgusted look on your face. I'm sure you have heard the voice of someone who has had throat cancer and sounds like a robot. In your mind, you would imagine saying, I am choosing to destroy my life as well as the people I love the most, in that sick robotic voice. Feel the emotional and physical pain you would endure, and then transmute that inner energy into good aggression. This exercise is all about emotion, so really feel and get a great mental image of exactly what it is that you are giving up in your life and what effect it has already had. It's important to really focus on the fact that you are choosing to give all those things up. This requires that you close your eyes and visualize. Maximize leverage. Humans will always move towards something that we believe is far more pleasurable than the painful option. As long as we think the old habit has more pleasure, we will continue to choose it. If you want to break the pattern, You may have to attach something that causes extreme emotional pain every time you repeat the old habit. This will ensure you condition the new habit without so much resistance. Now, once you have hit that absolute pain threshold where you think you're going to get out of the chair and scream, reverse it. Begin to think of the pleasure if you stopped it now, the joy on your family's faces, the feeling of achievement you would attain, the strength you would display. Imagine playing with your children at the park or feeling healthy and fit. Really absorb yourself in that pleasure of being free from that choice of mental state. Creating a completely random scenario in your mind that seems ridiculously stupid is also effective in the face of habits, phobias, fears, or a situation that reminds you of pain. In order for this to be successful, you must look at the scenario as if you were watching it from an outside perspective, almost like sitting at a comedy show. When you feel the sensation or begin to think of the habit, reverse the whole scenario in your mind. Have the mental image play backward, and then add some circus music to it. Replay it over and over again, and add whatever ridiculous things you want to it. This is similar to smashing a plate on the ground. Even if you try to fix it, there will still be cracks that ensure the plate is never the same. That's what we want to do with those patterns in your mind. Smash them. For example, if you are scared of flying in an airplane, you would use this technique to change your state immediately. You will notice that fear disappears very quickly and may even turn into laughter. This practice is very powerful and is used by professionals around the world. If you face it, you can break it. If you run, you're done. 5. Build on the NNN. We live in accordance with stimulus and response. A stimulus is something that stimulates our senses. For the example of smoking, the stimulus would be the mere thought of a cigarette, seeing one, speaking about it, or smelling it. The automated response would be to associate pleasure with it and go get one. A response is how we react to a stimulus. We must break the pattern immediately in the face of the stimulus, which will reinforce the new response. In other words, the stimulus remains the same, but our response is going to be different. If you hack at a tree, old neural net, enough times, it will eventually have to come down. By doing the last section, you have just created a NNN, new neural net. This is now an option and another route that your mind will always find to feed. We have attached more pain to the old habit and more pleasure to the new one. The more you think of that new switch in pleasure and pain, especially in the face of your habit, more neurons are recruited to respond the way you desire. You are taking rope from your previous net and making your new one stronger every time you do it. Soon enough, as the new net gets stronger, the other one will disappear. You will definitely notice it weakening as your repetition and intensity increase. During the process of performing an undesired habit, most people think about things different from the action they are habitually doing at that time. For example, if they are smoking, they will think about what they're going to do that night. It's the same when people have a problem with overeating. They think of feeding their victimization as they eat, which may seem pleasurable. This creates an automatic reaction to think that the current habit provides benefits. But that's because you are not reminding yourself of the pain as much as you are of the pleasure, right? With the smoking example, every time you inhale, you must think of the effects that it's having on your life and what you are potentially giving up by doing it. By replacing your wandering thoughts with the effects of your behavior, you recondition your nervous system to associate pain with the habit. It may take 1, 2, or even 3 weeks, but it will amaze you how quickly you begin to change your reaction, thought, and feeling when faced with the old habit. This is the conditioning part of your achievement, and it must be done continuously. This works in any part of your life, and it is the key to changing anything you desire. 6. Spread the word and reinforce the new habit. The language we use is very important. It needs to be forceful and convincing. When you are faced with your old habit, pick up strength in your voice. Going back to the example of smoking, this is how it would work. If someone offered you a cigarette, you would immediately answer, "That's disgusting," or "Yuck." Say it with meaning, confidence, and without too much deliberation. Be adamant about your speech in the face of the old habit. Get physical, verbal, and mental with your new direction. Go and tell people around you that you are over your phobia or your habit. The more you do this, the more real it becomes, and more important, it becomes far more believable to you. The final step is to put something empowering in your habit's place and create a ritual. If you have given up cigarettes, Go for a walk every day or eat a healthier breakfast. When we put something in the place of an old habit, it sets us up for lasting change. We must also be extremely proud of every step we take. Even if you have stopped smoking or overeating for 4 hours, feel the pleasurable emotion of winning. Tell yourself how great you feel and amplify the pleasure as much as you can. Reward will always condition what we do in life, so use it to your advantage and learn to reward yourself. Keep the paper from step 1 where you have written down what you want. Fold it up and make it like an extra limb. Keep it in your pocket or somewhere where it will be visible for the next 3 to 4 weeks. This will remind you of why you are doing all of this and reinforce the new pattern. Who says you can't? You do. Part 3. The force of life and focus and find. A strong, successful man is not the victim of his environment. He creates favorable conditions. His own inherent force and energy compel things to turn out as he desires. It seems we have become a society that thrives on things we know are destroying us. The news is a great example, something that is displayed around the world and has enormous power in getting a message across. How often do we see positive, inspirational topics compared with those that are filled with fear and destruction? All we are bombarded with is death, betrayal, rape, theft, and other damaging stories. Are those really the majority of things taking place in the world? Why not show stories that relate to us more, like people going to school, going down to buy the groceries, or just living a normal life? Because it doesn't sell? And the reasons the others sell, I believe, is a social and mental issue on our end that needs to be addressed. I'm not saying not to keep up with what's happening in the world, but you have to use your brain and be selective about what you think will be a benefit to yourself and society as a whole. Most people in the world aren't stabbing other people, having road rage, committing murder, etc. The news doesn't reflect the majority of the human race. Period. A vast array of energy is being emitted to the public, who in turn go out, talk about it, and organize their lives around fear. I'm sure we are already quite aware of all those things that are happening in the world. We give them far too much attention and focus. In some weird way, it seems we find satisfaction in discussing the things we complain about. Are we so distant from our truth that if we didn't have all these life-sucking topics to talk about, it would be difficult to hold a conversation? Are we contributing to this destruction by discussing it and giving it our attention? You bet we are. The main thing that most of us are blind to is how much this is actually affecting our own lives. The indigenous people of Australia created the boomerang, and energy works the same way. When we throw it out there, it seems to come straight back at us. Think about how many times you discuss things that you dislike in one day. Do you think in order to reverse that dislike it would be intelligent not to soak your whole day in it? I could just picture the different level of consciousness we would achieve if loving and inspiring stories were displayed as much as the current destructive ones. Imagine if every time we turned on the TV or opened a newspaper, we were surrounded by love and things that help us move toward uniting this world. What benefits am I gaining from complaining about this particular event in my life? We complain about our work, our relationships, the world, our finances, and the people around us. There are also those who do nothing but talk about other people's lives. I know because I used to be one of them. They do that to try to place some comfort in their own lives. The things they usually find fault with in others are the same challenges they face. The things they complain about are usually the things they are guilty of themselves. Why? It's easier to blame others than ourselves. We are scared to admit the truth, so we come up with ways of dealing with that fear. It all starts with the person looking straight back at you in the mirror. We must identify and deal with our own challenges, and only then will we realize our ability to create. To create the future we want, we must enjoy the present. To enjoy the present, we must make peace with our past. Everlasting energy, passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. Why do some people always seem to be tired and dragging their way through life, yet others seem to be full of energy? The amount of sleep they get is definitely not the major challenge, as I discovered myself. I have spoken to and modeled some of the most successful people I know, and it seems nearly all of them get less sleep than recommended. Before I really started embracing life, I was getting 10 hours of sleep with a minimum of 8, and I would still be tired. Now I only manage to get about 6, but my energy levels are through the roof. I have realized that when energy is being used for a cause that is meaningful, beneficial, or in service of fulfilling a self-vision, it seems to be never-ending. The greatest energy is created when we set up things to look forward to. That same energy creates more energy. My point is that it's not physical tiredness that makes us need as much rest as we think, but our mental state that needs more stimulation. One of the first things to understand when it comes to energy is that you are the boss of the production line within you. As long as we are complaining about things, focusing on why our life is so bad, thinking about why we are a victim, or repeatedly reminding ourselves of things we do not want, our opportunity to produce empowering energy is non-existent. It is, in fact, doing just the opposite, as it does nothing but drain energy straight out of our system. We all know that when we complain about something, our energy level goes down, and that's why complaining feels like crap. One day I decided that I would refuse to complain about anything. Even when people would tell me about their problems, I would never feed them. I would try to help them see another side, and if they didn't want to hear it, I would simply start to discuss a completely different topic. I would even go to the extent of telling them that if they ever wanted to complain about anything and were looking for someone to join the party, then don't bother calling me. If they were really going over the edge, I would tell them to stop feeling sorry for themselves or physically grab them by the shoulders and shake it out of them. It's great to show compassion, and I highly recommend it as one of a person's greatest qualities. But you also need to do what is in your own best interest and the best interest of the one you care about. If you submit and consume yourself with everyone else's petty complaints, you leave yourself vulnerable to producing those same feelings yourself. I'm well aware that we all know someone, or maybe even a lot of people, who do nothing but whine their way through life. They are always feeling sorry for themselves, yet never seem to do anything about it. They try to place all their issues on you. They are subconsciously leaking their own energy and trying to fill themselves up with yours. So there are a few outcomes. Either they just drain their own energy, or you consume yourself with theirs and go straight to their level. Speak with a powerful tone in those situations. Be compassionate, but don't go along for the ride. You will notice after even one day of fending off negative vibes from others, you will feel far more productive toward the life you desire. When we focus on the great things in life, our energy levels are high. Have you ever had 3 parties in one weekend that you want to attend? During that weekend, you will live off 4 hours sleep a night, but still be energetic enough to attend all 3 parties and have a great time. Your energy levels even cause you to stay up until 5 a.m. when you're usually tucked in and sound asleep by 11 p.m. Uplifting energy always creates more great energy. You are able to identify this great energy because it makes you feel good, while negative energy has the opposite effect. To be able to command your own emotions, a must if you want an extraordinary life, you need to imagine a group of security guards waiting at the front of your production factory. Every time you feel someone or something is trying to break into the great energy you are now deliberately creating, overpower it in your mind. It may seem a bit challenging at the beginning for 2 main reasons. First, we are surrounded with so much negativity, and second, we become addicted to complaining. Don't let people infect you with their negativity. You control the situation by displaying how much you love life. Do not let newspapers, TV, family members, friends, work colleagues, or anyone else shift your empowering direction. If you do, you bow down to a life that is less than what you're worth, and you do nothing but manifest poor results. You will have friends and family asking what has gotten into you. Just be honest and feel your truth. I would even go to the extent of telling them that if they ever wanted to complain about anything and were looking for someone to join the party, then don't bother calling me. If they were really going over the edge, I would tell them to stop feeling sorry for themselves or physically grab them by the shoulders and shake it out of them. It's great to show compassion, and I highly recommend it as one of a person's greatest qualities. But you also need to do what is in your own best interest and the best interest of the one you care about. If you submit and consume yourself with everyone else's petty complaints, you leave yourself vulnerable to producing those same feelings yourself. I'm well aware that we all know someone, or maybe even a lot of people, who do nothing but whine their way through life. They are always feeling sorry for themselves, yet never seem to do anything about it. They try to place all their issues on you. They are subconsciously leaking their own energy and trying to fill themselves up with yours. So there are a few outcomes. Either they just drain their own energy, or you consume yourself with theirs and go straight to their level. Speak with a powerful tone in those situations. Be compassionate, but don't go along for the ride. You will notice after even one day of fending off negative vibes from others, you will feel far more productive toward the life you desire. When we focus on the great things in life, our energy levels are high. Have you ever had 3 parties in one weekend that you want to attend? During that weekend, you will live off 4 hours sleep a night, but still be energetic enough to attend all 3 parties and have a great time. Your energy levels even cause you to stay up until 5 a.m. when you're usually tucked in and sound asleep by 11 p.m. Uplifting energy always creates more great energy. You are able to identify this great energy because it makes you feel good, while negative energy has the opposite effect. To be able to command your own emotions, a must if you want an extraordinary life, you need to imagine a group of security guards waiting at the front of your production factory. Every time you feel someone or something is trying to break into the great energy you are now deliberately creating, overpower it in your mind. It may seem a bit challenging at the beginning for 2 main reasons. First, we are surrounded with so much negativity, and second, we become addicted to complaining. Don't let people infect you with their negativity. You control the situation by displaying how much you love life. Do not let newspapers, TV, family members, friends, work colleagues, or anyone else shift your empowering direction. If you do, you bow down to a life that is less than what you're worth, and you do nothing but manifest poor results. You will have friends and family asking what has gotten into you. Just be honest and feel your truth. Some may not be able to handle it because they don't want to feel insignificant or may feel as if they are losing you. Keep at it, though. You are being much more of a friend by acting this way than by feeding emotions that are destroying their life. As well as that, you are stopping yourself from destroying your own life in the process. The funny thing is that it will eventually rub off on everyone around you, and your behavior will become infectious. People will cling to you and start asking how you do it. I couldn't count how many people gave me a hard time about loving life more. They would say I was being fake, that life can't be that great, and all the rest of it. Their comments proved that they were vastly unaware of their own lives. Funnily enough, they were always the people who were lost and never believed they could do anything great. Knowing the effect they were having on their own lives forced me to be compassionate. Months would pass, and those same individuals would ask for guidance. Did I help them? Of course I did, or else I'd be stooping to their level. Now, we all know that we can't feel great all the time, but by practicing it, at least you will know the feeling you want. That will help you come up with ways of regaining it. It's crucial that you always remain you and express the great person you know you are deep down. By the way, this is a journey, so you are going to make mistakes. The most important thing to remember is that you are always in control of how you feel. Use the gifts you have been given. Think and feel for yourself. Produce that great energy by focusing on the good things in life like your appreciation list, the things you want to achieve, and the beauty that surrounds you. Put down your phone or your laptop and go breathe the fresh air. For a brief moment, just look at the birds or up in the sky. Truly take in and focus on the beauty of this magnificent world we live in. We get so entranced by what we want, we forget about what we have. What most don't realize is it's what we have that gets us what we want. Life is full of beauty. Notice it. Notice the bumblebee, the small child, and the smiling faces. Smell the rain and feel the wind. Live your life to the fullest potential and fight for your dreams. Also acknowledge that practice makes perfect. As with everything in life, we have to practice loving life in order to get better at it. When faced with a disempowering experience, you must look for an alternate route immediately. That curiosity and determination will always help you find a way through. Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened for you. Have you ever thought that someone was deliberately ignoring you or deceiving you behind your back? How did you feel in that moment? Were you frustrated, hurt, angry, or upset? How about when you found out that they had not done it to begin with? How did you feel then? Did you feel embarrassed, upset with yourself, or even stupid? So how were you able to feel those emotions initially, even though the deceit never happened? Before I tell you the answer, let's do one more exercise. Think of someone you really love for a moment. Really feel them next to you. Take a minute, close your eyes, and imagine their presence. Before you read on, do this. Did you just feel full of love, as if that person was actually there with you? The reason this happens is because your mind doesn't know the difference between something you are actually experiencing and something that is only in your mind. What we focus on, we will surely feel. By knowing you have this power, how quickly can you change the way you feel? In order for us to fully enhance the quality of our life and achieve at our peak, we must choose wisely how our attention is being focused. Life is defined by the truth that our mind is going to find what we focus on. Whether that is a blessing or a curse is entirely up to you, as you're in total control of directing that energy. It becomes so frustrating when the experiences that we don't want keep showing up. The reason they show themselves so often is because we are putting so much energy toward them. When we focus on the things we don't want, we get more of them. That uneasiness then begins to consume our reality. This may create feelings of hopelessness, anger, and disappointment until other areas of our life suffer because of our inner turmoil. It's quite obvious in everyday life experience. When you are feeling angry, everything outside will seem distorted and get under your skin. When you are irritated about something, everything will seem to irritate you. When you are happy, everything seems great. It's a law of life. There is no escaping it. We must learn to enhance our emotional fitness, and that comes from what we choose to focus on. When you continue to focus on what you want, your whole demeanor adapts to your desire. Body language, vocabulary, tone of voice, and even subconscious movements all shift to mold you into the person you need to be. Don't make things you don't want a priority in your life. If you do, they will consume your reality. Even in an advanced driving course, the instructor will stress that directing your focus is a crucial part of survival. It is said that if we look at a pole or a tree while losing control, we automatically get drawn to that object. The same principle applies to every area of our life. The more we focus on not having enough money, always seeming to find the wrong partner, someone not letting you live your dream, not having enough time, or always being sick, to name a few things, they become stronger. Your mind is going to find every way to attract the things you focus on. The Bible says, "Seek and you shall find," which I think is a pretty good concept that we need to grasp. What you find depends on what you're choosing to seek. You have always gotten what you have asked for. You might just not be aware of what it is you are asking. Are you really taking notice of which doors you are knocking on? When your mind wanders, so does what you create. If you have ever walked a dog on a leash, you will know that sometimes it seems as if the dog is walking you. When it begins to wander off, you direct it back to position with the leash. That's exactly what you have to do with your thoughts. Keep them on a leash. If you don't, you lose control. Think, feel, act, create. When you think about what you don't want, how does it make you feel? It personally makes me feel disempowered, unmotivated, sad, and even frustrated. All these human emotions cause us to act in the same way that created and attracted those things we didn't want in the first place. As soon as we shift our focus toward things we want, our attitude changes instantly and we begin to feel inspired. And when we feel great, we get great results. By redirecting our focus toward what we want, our mind is more inclined to find it. Have you ever bought a new car and suddenly you begin to notice that same make and model everywhere? When you hear someone call out the same name as yours, it grabs your attention immediately. It might be a parent calling out to their child, but you will look around. The things you prioritize, you find everywhere. Your emotions derive from where your focus is being directed. As much as being able to focus and find what we are seeking among so many possibilities is an amazing human power, there is a part of the brain that makes it possible. With every thought of the mind, there is a physical action in the brain. The reticular activating system, RAS, is composed of with doing a bit of what I love, research. I discovered that autofocus cameras contain a servo mechanism. I'm not sure if you have ever used one of these, but they automatically create a sharper focus and a clearer picture once the lens is moved to the desired location. When we make something important in our life, be it a benefit or not, it becomes a priority. The RAS in your brain is going to seek it everywhere and make the picture a whole lot clearer. Guess who's in charge of moving that lens? You are. Shifting focus, move your lens. Most people have no idea of the giant capacity we can immediately command when we focus all of our resources on mastering a single area of our lives. Why do some people have such a great outlook on life, while others seem to be surrounded by so much misery? Why are there some who succeed at a much greater level than others and are fulfilled? Why do those few find inspiration everywhere and are always motivated, yet others find it difficult to come up with any ideas? The answer to these questions lies in the understanding of how life actually works. People say to me, "I know how life works. You wake up, go to work, and come home. It's the same thing every day." My reply is, no, that's how your life works. The truth is, the more we think about the same thing, the more we repeat the same feelings and hence the same actions. Most people believe that things must change on the outside to affect their inner self. They believe that they must have a sense of achievement in order to feel great about themselves. If you have met anyone who is really successful, rich in all areas of life, you will notice they don't attempt to live life backward. They live it the way it was intended, which is to feel great first, which causes them to act great, which results in achieving great things. The only way to make yourself feel great first is to be intelligent in the way you command your focus. Concentrate all your thoughts upon the work at hand. The sun's rays do not burn until brought to a focus. All of our emotions arise from where our focus is being directed. Once we shift our lens over to something else, it's going to pick up detail that once went unnoticed. It's like getting a spotlight and moving it from one area to another. Once that is successfully completed, the areas of our life that once contributed to its destruction will be left in the dark. On the other hand, if we do not shift that light, these experiences and situations will keep happening, and the world as you know it will stay in check. We revolve many situations around this sense of reality, attach irrelevant things to it, and create scenarios that seem worse than they are, all to satisfy the stories we play in our mind. Let's take someone who is paranoid. They repeatedly focus their energy on someone doing wrong by them, being unfaithful, or trying to rip them off. They have focused on that idea so hard, they believe that everyone they meet is the same. Did it ever occur to them that the reason they feel that way is because they have trained their mind to believe that is the case? Could their intentions cause a situation to actually turn out in a particular way? Or is it that they are expecting it, so they will relate anything back to that scenario? Is everyone really trying to take advantage of them? Or is it just a reflection of how they are feeling internally, which causes them to perceive it that way? We create our own reality, and when it has its hiccups, we think it's not living up to the high standards we have set, and we start to doubt. We then shift our focus and believe that is the best life has to offer. Very far from the truth. But when we are moving our focus away from things that aren't working, we have to find something positive to focus on instead. The beauty of life is just as real as the ugliness of life. It all depends on which one you choose to see. When you stop focusing on things you don't want, you break the pattern of letting them consume most of your life. It also prevents you from associating irrelevant things with a situation. Sometimes a situation just is. It's like watching a guy run across the street toward an old woman. We might perceive him to be heading in that direction to rob the lady, which causes us to become distressed. Someone else might perceive the situation as a good gesture, where the guy is going to give back the change she left at the store. But the guy runs straight past and makes no contact with her at all. Both scenarios were just as real for that moment, but only because we created them. This is the case for everything that happens or has happened in your life. That external stimulus was or is open for whatever you wish to attach to it. Analyze it properly, put things into perspective. Think of something that you should be really grateful for at that time or focus on what you want, and you will experience pleasure. Focus on how the situation could benefit your visions in life rather than distance you from them. What knowledge can you gain to take action and better your life? As long as you look hard enough, benefits can be drawn from any experience. In fact, every situation is open for an alternative view. Things once thought of as bad will become your greatest opportunities for self-growth and allow you to take another step toward a quality life. By practicing this strategy, even just a few times, you will soon discover that the only reason anything ever seems a particular way is due to the thoughts and hence emotions you choose to attach to it. You will relate this exercise to past and new experiences, and that's when you really take massive steps to positively shape your destiny. When feeling down about something, you know it is actually due to your perception. These times call for full focus and not letting your mind wander. We must not settle for how things might seem in an instant, but search deeper, looking for ways to turn it around. Once you have discovered a better way of looking at an experience, even if it's only slightly better, hold on to that new thought and feed it like mad. Once that's accomplished, you have learned how to successfully direct your energy. Who says you can't? You do. Part 4. System of Achievement. Take instant charge. It had long come to my attention that people of accomplishment rarely sat back and let things happen to them. They went out and happened to things. We have all achieved something in our life, regardless of how small we might think it is. There are times when things seem hard, almost unbearable, until we finally overcome them. Achievement is when we accomplish something in our life, whether it is having the courage to overcome a situation, the attainment of personal goals, a heroic act, or putting extra effort into a task. All achievements, from the greatest to the smallest, will play a major role in what you set out to achieve next. Raising a child, providing the essentials for your family, getting a relationship back on track, or overcoming one that wasn't working are all achievements. Whatever we achieve in life, the process is quite systematic. We get a vision of what we want, passion builds up, we align ourselves with fear, consistently think of how it can be achieved, work out our action plan, and follow it. Regardless of whether you have taken notice of this or not, it's usually the way it happens. Achievement never dropped out of the sky and knocked on your front door with a bunch of roses. You had to go and get it. And just because you may have achieved something, it doesn't mean you are ultimately fulfilled. I couldn't count how many times I have heard of someone achieving something great, yet a month down the track they are empty because they don't know what to do next. I've met multimillionaires who are some of the unhappiest people I know. They exclusively went for the money, only to find that is not a passion, but rather an attempt to find lasting happiness in a material way. That sent them to another dead end. I'm sure we have all heard stories of very wealthy people ending up as drug addicts or committing suicide, while others with very little material wealth are the happiest people alive. They are all great achievers, as that word, achievement, is personalized to individuals' desires. However, it is only achievement and fulfillment together that brands someone truly successful. We must learn how to gain them both, and that's what I have dedicated my life to finding. I have worked tenaciously to unravel the powers that allow us to shape our destiny on our conditions. The following knowledge and strategies steered me toward true success in no time. Dreaming is not enough. You have to go a step further and use your imagination to visualize, with intent. Forget everything you've been taught and believe it will happen just as you imagined it. That is the secret. That is the mystery of life. In order for us to live to our full potential, we must embrace the dream visions that flash before us. Most people I know will use this powerful tool to feel worse in their daily lives. They envision that dream body, that nice car, or that big house and immediately begin to get angry or beat themselves up for not having it now. I think the reason is their disbelief that they are actually able to attain their dreams. It is absolutely crucial to focus on the great emotions of such visions, because that's what inspires us to action. Going on a vacation is a perfect example. We visualize being on the vacation way before most of our preparations are even organized. We build emotion around it, and that is what inspires us to action. The reality is that if we don't create absolutely compelling visions of what we want out of life, they will never come into existence. We must understand that a dream and a vision are two different things. The word dream gets thrown around like a fairy tale. It's regarded as something that is not real, cannot be worked toward, and has no ground for creation. Everything that has come into existence was the result of someone's vision. I think it's also clear that we will be hurting ourselves in the process, and I know that from personal experience. If we don't have visions of what we want to achieve in our life, how are we ever going to bring them about? We won't know where to start. We'll resort to things that never fulfill us, and we'll live our life in the desperate rage of just hoping something will change. You might be sitting there thinking that you don't know exactly what you want in life. I've had this discussion with many people, especially young people, but we must think deeper. Is it that we really don't know? Or is it that we don't believe we can achieve the things we dream about? The people that never achieve much are those who wait for things to happen on the outside to help make their visions become clearer. What they are unaware of is that they must create a vision first, of anything at all, and that makes everything on the outside align and assist its accomplishment. You rarely get it straight away, but it will come if you hold it close to your heart and firmly in your mind. Then there is the balance of action you must take. But all successful people know that everything starts with a compelling vision. Good business leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, passionately own the vision, and relentlessly drive it to completion. That vision of a special person in your life, that Ferrari, that house by the water, that increased paycheck at the end of the month, that good relationship with your family, being free from drugs or an addiction, these are just a few goals. Visions don't necessarily revolve around money. Rather, they focus on abundance in our whole life. The more clarity you have about what you want, the more you're willing to work for it. Most people seem to use broad terms such as, I want more money, I want someone in my life, I want to own my own business, or I want to be more successful, unaware that they might get them, but only in the broad terms in which they ask. For example, you might say you want to share your life with someone and then fall in love with someone who isn't right for you. It's because you didn't have a clear indication and vision of what that person would be like. Their traits, their qualities, and the things you must have in a partner weren't clear to you at the beginning. We just end up settling for the same old things when we do this. The same goes for when we make an extra $20 for 2 weeks' work and then we complain. You asked for more money, didn't you? In order to get exactly what you want, you need to be absolutely clear about what it is. Your past is important, but it is not nearly as important to your present as the way you see your future is. Creating visions also calls for common sense, as we know things might not happen exactly the way they first appeared in our mental image. Accept the imperfections in life, because things are unstable, impermanent, and naturally subject to change. This may also be caused by our mere inability to ever see perfection. I mean, if you meet someone and they don't have the size 8 foot you imagined, I would probably suggest putting down the judgment sword. It's like when you plan a trip away and you are visualizing lying on the beach. You envision how the hotel room might look and the beauty that surrounds the place. When you get there, it's not exactly what you imagined, but you still appreciate it for what it is, sometimes even more. Look at the true essence of the creation and the passion from which it stemmed. Paintings are not looked at as perfect, but those who understand them are able to see the passion of the painter within them. That's how you can bridge the gap between your dream and reality. Appreciation. Allow room for error, but never allow room for giving up on those things that you know you must have. You know what you want. Or do you? Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs are people who have come alive. Sitting down in a small cafe one evening with a close friend, I overheard 2 young guys discussing how they didn't know what they wanted in their lives. I know it's not very polite to eavesdrop, but in a place where tables were almost connected, I felt as if I was meant to be there. I politely asked if I could interrupt. My friend was kicking me under the table because she was embarrassed, but I couldn't leave after hearing these guys' distress, knowing I could help. I asked them, if I said to you that you could have the woman of your dreams right now, would you take her? They laughed and said, yeah, for sure. I then asked, if I were to offer them a mansion with a Lamborghini parked out front, would they take it? Again, the answer was yes. Then I asked, if they could wake up every morning feeling great with an inspiring outlook on life, contribute to the world, have a fit body, and be in a position where they were in charge of their emotions, would they embrace such a life? One guy turned to me and said, did you just win the lottery and now you're feeling generous? I laughed and replied, no, I'm proving that you know exactly what you want, you just don't think you can get it. This is one of the major challenges I see in society today. Most people know what they want. They just believe it's out of their reach. It's then easier to say they don't know as an excuse to escape with some dignity. However, if you are someone who is certain about not knowing what you want, which is the position I found myself in many times, then you might not have a deep understanding of yourself yet. How can we ever really know what we want if we don't fully know who we are? How will we know our powers? How will we ever be able to build a trusting relationship with ourselves? Most hide who they are every day until they are confused and doubt their true ability. If you know who you are, you will know what you want. You are able to identify your passion and live a life that reminds you to be conscious of every action you take. It is also imperative that what you want doesn't conflict with who you are. Exploring yourself, nurturing your everyday life, and feeding who you really are is the basis of finding out exactly what you want. The more you stress and worry about not knowing, the cloudier your true identity. You must have faith that when you make changes in everyday life, Regardless of how small the changes might seem, your truth is going to display itself. As I mentioned, I didn't have a clear indication of what my passion in life was. I just knew I loved to help people. The last thing I thought I would become was an author. To be honest, in the beginning of my change, all I wanted to do was alter what I was doing in the present. It worked quite well, because instead of fogging my mind with what I thought I wanted, I decided to change what I was doing, which built the belief that I could achieve anything. I needed to rectify the concept of feeling, acting, and creating of my own accord. That allowed me to recognize that it could be done in any area of my life. We must also be aware of conflicting beliefs and the influence they have on our decision-making. If your appreciation list states that you are very grateful for your family, then I'm guessing they are important in your life. If you wanted to open up a brothel, that could be a conflicting belief. Ultimately, the choices you make are up to you, but it calls for some deep thinking. Go back to Absolute Power of Questioning, page 3, where I invited you to notice those great qualities within you. You will realize that your choices should be in line with who you really are and how they could benefit the things most important to you. This may also be the reason why you have changed your mind so many times, as you will always adapt pleasure and pain to a particular want. We are emotional creatures, so the feeling that you get from something you want is compelling. Always go for the feeling, because that's the pinnacle of your desire. Create massive purpose with everything you do. It doesn't matter what you do if you don't do what matters. If you do what matters, it doesn't matter what you do. There are so many people who use the excuse of having to or needing to do something in their life. I would like to point out that you never have to do anything. And needing gets thrown out most times as well. We complain about our cars, our jobs, and the people in our life. If you are continually complaining about how crappy your car is, then why don't you get a baseball bat and smash it to pieces? No one is stopping you. You don't have to keep it, and you definitely don't need it. I'm sure the bus or other transportation can take you around. If you don't like a person in your life, it's your choice to stick around. If you find yourself always complaining about your job, get up now and tell your boss how much the company stinks. Let him or her know that you are picking up your things and leaving. Come on, you only live once, so go do it. You don't want that car, that friend, that job, remember? If you are wondering whether I'm serious, you bet I am. But are you? If you are saying to yourself, I'm not going to smash my car or say that to my boss, why not? When you answer the why not, you will realize it's because you actually want to be there more than you don't want to be there, or else you would have already done something about it. Your complaining is creating your own disaster. What about doing chores around the house? Doing the dishes or mopping the floor is something that people believe they have to do or need to do. The answer again is, no, you don't. You can quite easily walk around with grime seeping through the floor or eat off a plate that has crumbs left over from last week. If you get my point, all these things are wants. You want to keep the car because you don't want to walk everywhere you go. The reason you won't say that to your boss is because you want money. You want to wash the dishes because you don't want to get infected with bacteria. Even if someone held a gun to your head and asked you to do something, it's still a choice to obey or not, right? The solution to your complaints: stop whining and take massive action. A while back, I had a friend call me up to complain about helping her sister and nephew move into a new place. She had no sleep, was drained, and was acting like she was giving something up by helping. I asked her, "Do you have to do it?" She answered, "Yes, because who else is going to?" I quickly reminded her that she didn't have to do anything and could have slept all day knowing that her sister would do it on her own. Then she replied, "No, I wouldn't let her do it on her own." Laughing to myself, I said, "Well, that means you actually want to do it because you recognize it's a great thing to do. The fact that you're doing it means that you want to more than you don't want to. Stop complaining and be proud of yourself." She called me back an hour later and said, "You know what? I feel really good about what I just did for my sister." When you create meaning with everything you do, it gives you the drive to go that extra mile that no one else is willing to go. Successful people don't just do something, they acknowledge why they are doing it. People ask me, what is the purpose of life? But I think the question should be, what isn't the purpose of life? Everything in life has its purpose. When you start acknowledging that you want to do things, it increases purpose. Creating purpose in your life is by far the #1 way to create self-motivation. You are far more willing to do things that you want to do rather than things you feel that you have to do. Turn your have to into want to by giving enough great reasons why you are doing something in the first place. This also increases your appreciation. If you find that it's not actually something you want to do, then also acknowledge that you never have to. Once you grasp that everything you do in life is a choice, there is no room to play the victim. If you choose to do yourself a favor and stop dwelling on what's wrong about the experience. Shift your focus to why you want to or the compelling visions that you're about to write down. How to unleash a smothered passion and allow it to drive your life. Reduce your plan to writing. The moment you complete this, you will have definitely given concrete form to the intangible desire. Task this is the third section of your appreciation list that I mentioned before. You must add this to your list to complete it. 3. Wants. This is the part where you are to put all limitations aside and write continuously. Write down everything you have dreamed of having and be creative. Give thanks for the things you want in life and do not hold back at all. I don't care how big or how small, you must write it. Be as specific as you can because clarity brings forth courage. If you want more money, then how much do you want? Do you want $10,000, $100,000, or $10 million? When your visions become too vague, you will never hit your target. When you're not clear about the result you want, you don't result in getting anything. Most people aren't specific about what they want because they fear the feeling of failure if they never get it. But why worry in advance? I have discovered that in order to create an extraordinary life, we must raise the bar so high that it scares us. Only by raising our standards do we give ourselves the opportunity to step up to such a level. Besides the fear aspect, most find it easier to wishfully think that what they want will just appear. What these people must realize is that the reason they will never get what they want is actually their reluctance to create more clarity in the first place. When in pursuit of what you want in life, there are two things you must have in order to get it: clarity and enough emotional charge. Without either or both, you don't stand a chance. Clarity helps create that emotional charge. I hear so many people tell me that if they meet that special person, they will make changes, or if they had more money, they would then decide what they wanted to buy. I am quick to remind them that if they aren't clear on what that person is like, they won't be able to make the appropriate changes to their life that will invite in that special person. And as far as the money theory goes, it's actually the complete opposite. By having a clear indication of what you want initially, it forces you to produce more emotional charge, which will ensure you create the money you need. You must be specific with what you want first. Creating clarity is not wishful thinking. It makes what you want more real. And when something is more real, you believe it more. When you believe it more, you take action. The only way we can accomplish beyond our known limits is by frequently raising our standards. There is one point you should take note of. Make sure you don't drive yourself crazy filling in all the minor details, like your business having electric doors instead of manual ones. Just write down the bigger picture, and you will end up filling in the details as you progress. By staying conscious of the bigger picture, you are reminded of why you are taking all the small steps now. All exceptional achievers reached a point in their life where they stopped dwelling on not having their wants and forcefully brought forth emotions as if they already did. You must celebrate your success now. Imagine and create the same feelings you would have if you already had all those things you want. If you do this, it allows you to experience the powerful emotions that master your willingness to act, and your goals will draw closer. Unless you build the belief by consuming yourself with what you want, you will never get it. You can't get to a place that you don't believe exists. Go for it right now. Again, you must not read on until you have completed this task. Get out your appreciation list and start writing. Stay away from writing down what you don't want. Focus on what you want rather than what you don't want. An example in the financial section would be, I want to own a condo in Miami with a swimming pool on the balcony, and not, I don't want to live in the one-bedroom apartment that I am currently living in. To make it easier, create sections or a table such as, note, this list is subject to change. It will evolve over time, but you must have a starting point initially. Think hard and dream big. Make sure you always begin with I want. At the end of reading my list, I would close my eyes, get into a state of focus, and repeat. Thank you for giving me everything I ever wanted, financially, physically, mentally, and emotionally. For everything I ever desired and have. Thank you, God, for being one with the qualities that reign within me and giving me the gifts to obtain and attain anything I desire. Focus on your wants when you wake up. Carry that energy throughout your day, and you will see the path begin to light up for you. Write down any progress or ideas that flow. Do not read on until you have completed this crucial task for your personal growth, creating purpose and enough emotional charge. In order to be successful, you must have purpose. In Napoleon Hill's masterpiece Think and Grow Rich, he presented the idea of a definite major purpose as a challenge to his readers to ask themselves, "In what do I truly believe?" According to Hill, 98% of people had few or no firm beliefs. This alone put true success firmly out of their reach. His journey also consisted of researching and interviewing 500 of the most successful people in the world at the time. Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, Henry Ford, F. W. Woolworth, John D. Rockefeller, William Wrigley Jr., and Franklin Delano Roosevelt were only a few. These highly successful people displayed definite patterns in their attitudes. But at that time, which was not so different from our era, most people had serious misconceptions of the qualities that brought them success. Negative emotions such as fear, selfishness, and resentment were the sources of failure. This came as a big shock to most. The opposites of these attributes were found to be some of the secrets to success, but it was said that everyone must discover this on their own and thus gain the knowledge to really influence their lives. In my experience, achievers who think that winning means they have to be arrogant and heartless in the process actually lose more than they gain. They may have gained money, but they lost everything else, including themselves. There is a way of gaining what you want while staying true to yourself, and that's what real success consists of. Your worth consists in what you are and not what you have. Look at your wants list and note as many reasons as you can why you want what you want. Write down why you must have them and why you will not settle for less. If you do not have a clear understanding of why you want what you want, then you will not enhance the emotions that create the certainty to obtain them. Passion builds up. It is not something that you just find at its peak. This exercise is crucial for assigning passion to your desires. Stay away from writing what you don't want. These next sets of questions also create an enormous amount of emotional charge. Focus on each one individually for a few minutes and write down the answers. How would it make me feel if I didn't get what I wanted in my life? What would I think about myself? How would my body language be? What are the emotions I would experience on a daily basis? Are some of the answers to these questions things I am doing now? If you are acting in the same way you would if you never got what you wanted, how on earth do you expect to get anything? Now, how would it make me feel if I did get what I wanted? How would I hold my body? What would my body language be like? What would my shoulders, facial expressions, and attitude be like? Throughout my day, how can I produce the same emotions I would get when I attain what I want? How would I have to think, talk, and walk? Must I allocate time to really think about these accomplishments and continually embrace the emotions? How can I create rapid change from the answers I have obtained from these questions? What can I do differently? What are the different emotions I need to start commanding?
Who says you can't? You do. Part 4. The spirit of persistence. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful people with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan, "Press on," has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race. Have you ever thought of an idea or something that you believe people would want, and a year or two later, you see it on the shelves? It could be on TV, a new product out in supermarkets, or an invention that you once thought of. You then say things like, "That was my idea," and you tell others that you had once thought of it. The difference is that the other person who had the idea decided to persist. We let so many dreams, visions, and ideas slip because we think others might find them stupid, or that it will be too hard, or we give up due to the hurdles we come across. An Olympic hurdler doesn't run off the track if he misses the first jump. He gets back up and finishes the race. Falling doesn't mean failing. The concept of failing was only created by those who were too scared to succeed, and it exists in the same world as giving up. If we never stop persevering, then failure will not be an option. There is, in fact, no such thing as failure. Instead, everything is knowledge we can put into practice. The reason there are great achievers is because of their reluctance to see something as a failure. They stick to the belief that there is no failure, only feedback. You don't fail, you only get results. These achievers are like a bulldog with a bone clenched firmly in its teeth. The more you try to take away the bone, the harder it grips. Even when I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I still believe it's there. If you read biographies of high achievers, you will notice that most of their first businesses or trials weren't the ones that took them to greatness. For some, it happened early, but other achievers used every experience as an opportunity for learning and growth. It is easy to give up, but only in the short term. I couldn't think of anything worse than just settling, and to me, that's a lot harder to live with. It's normal not to feel 100% motivated all the time and to have moments where you feel like you are being defeated. What you need to master is moving forward, even an inch in those times, because that's how you win. Every time you win, you become stronger. Relentlessly holding on to your visions is winning, in essence. One of the most inspirational stories of persistence I have ever seen was of an Australian man stuck in a Southeast Asian jungle for 11 days. The documentary is called Miracle in the Jungle, and it was based on Hayden Edcock's amazing story of survival. On a trek that was only supposed to last a few hours, he got lost in some of the roughest terrain known to mankind. With no food, and faced with every challenge possible during a national storm alert, he thought his life was over. His wounds were so deep and so moist that his body became a feeding ground for disease. Parasites entered, and hallucinations started to kick in. Halfway through his ordeal, Hayden found himself at a waterfall, where he considered jumping off. He said that just as he was about to jump and end his own life, he thought about his parents and all his loved ones. He thought if he were to give up now, he would be leaving absolutely no hope. So he didn't jump because of his strong love for his family. Hayden survived another 6 days in the jungle after that before being rescued, and he faced challenges that most would consider insurmountable. It just goes to show one man's persistence can defy all the odds against him. It is a documentary I highly recommend. Permanence, perseverance, and persistence, in spite of all obstacles, discouragement, and impossibilities. It is this that in all things distinguishes the strong soul from the weak. In order to stay persistent, you must cut off every avenue of retreat. Succeeding needs to be the only way in your mind, because that's when you will go that extra mile and push past the limit that you once thought was impassable. There needs to be no other way than that to which your passion directs you. If you believe something can work, then it can, because you have been there in your mind. Every creation began from a vision and a belief, even when most people called that idea nuts. When you really believe in yourself, it will eventually rub off on everyone around you, and you will notice your persistence is desirable. Don't forget that we build our own beliefs. It is said that Colonel Sanders went to 900 chicken shops with his recipe, and had the door closed in his face. They said his recipe would never work and that his idea was crazy. Yes, 900 times. Ask yourself how many people would have given up after 5 refusals. He believed in his idea and finally got his first break. His sheer persistence and determination transformed his recipe into the franchise we all know as KFC. Tommy Hilfiger started by selling his jeans out of the trunk of his car. Not many would have the guts to do that. If he hadn't persisted, do you think he would have one of the greatest clothing companies of all time? Even those who have won a medal, passed a test, owned a local business, or dedicated their life to contribution have remained persistent to see it through. There are certain breaks that successful people have, but in order for those opportunities to arise in the first place, they had to persist and they knew it. The problem with most people is that they give up, unaware that their big break might have been just around the corner. That's why it is imperative to continue pushing on, because these breaks do happen, and when they hit big. If you are finding it hard to believe in yourself, then prove it to yourself. I'm sure there has been a time in your life when you had to do a new task. Let's take a new job as an example. The first day you walked in, how nervous and excited were you? That job may have been really difficult to comprehend and do. It may have even gotten to a point where you thought you would never get the hang of it. A few weeks went by, and you wondered why you ever stressed because it now seems so easy. If you look for it hard enough, your ability in life will astound you, but most people don't take the time to notice it. The truth is, we have the ability to do anything in our life. People throughout history, with all different biographies, have proved that time and time again. There will be times when you feel as if your head is underwater, and you will question what you are doing, doubt your ability, and have others call you stupid. What will bring you to greatness is acting the way the great do. Everyone on the road of achievement has experienced self-doubt. Those who win, though, always overpower that doubt with self-assurance. If you have ever bought a new car, you will be familiar with that uncomfortable feeling when you sit behind the wheel the first few times. Then you might sort of miss your old car because of its comfort, but there is no way you would go back, because you know the new one is better. We will persist in driving until it becomes second nature. I have had some people confuse the notion of letting go with that of giving up. Letting go of something you don't want anymore is not the same as giving up on something that you truly do want. For example, if you are in a relationship that is not working and you don't want to be in it anymore, then following a new path is imperative to your happiness. Letting go of something you do not want anymore displays strength. That's why it is not called giving up. Your mind tries to play tricks on you sometimes and tells you that you may want something when you know deep down you don't. Your truth will always ask, is this something I really want, or am I just scared to let go and push past my known limits? It's just like when we want to grow a particular muscle in our body. We work out, and we have to strain and stretch to the point of discomfort, and then, as time goes on, the muscle grows. If we only ever stop at our limit, we see no improvement. This goes for any part of our life. You will know in your heart whether it's a sign of weakness for hanging around in a situation that you don't want to be in anymore. In saying that, you will also know when you are using excuses not to go and get what you deserve. We all face challenges when we go after what we want, but not many persist in the face of them. Challenges are also there to help you eliminate what you don't want, so what you do want becomes clearer. Sheer determination is crucial for manifesting our visions into reality. Your idea or vision is probably just as good as the last great achievers. You just need to let your passion drive you. Stay strong, keep the faith, believe in yourself, and never give up or accept less than what you know you must have. Most importantly, make sure you enjoy the process. As soon as you stop adding pleasure to what you are doing, you are certain to experience pain. Living the dream isn't just when you get what you want, it's actually the process of getting it. Things may seem hard at times, but remember, they are never so hard that you can't get through them. People we know, in the face of obstacles, adversity has the effect of eliciting talents, which in prosperous circumstances would have lain dormant. A very good friend of mine who began importing stock from China hit a massive rut after his launch. He had seen a success mentor who told him that if he put it out there to the universe, it would come back at him. This expert forgot to mention the massive action taken by people who actually achieve. Is it that easy that you can just think wishfully? Throw it out there to the universe and it will bounce back at you. I'm not even going to tell you the answer to that because you already know it. We all know that we can't sit there and think, my car is going to be in the driveway. My car is going to be in the driveway. Then open our eyes and our car is in the driveway. If you think that sounds ridiculous, it's because it is. Unless we get up and move the car, it's going to remain on the street, but people still buy the concept. There will be a lot of people, and many books, documentaries, and seminars that try to sugarcoat achievement. I even heard one speaker and author say that we can manifest effortlessly when it comes to what we want. If you ever hear anything like this and believe it, realize you are setting yourself up for a big disappointment. There never has been, and never will be, an easy way of achieving something great. The positive side, however, is that even though sometimes in life there is no way out, there is always a way through. You will always hear from others that someone out there is worse off, although that's not really inspiring, is it? Inspiration comes from acknowledging that there was someone worse off that actually got through it. There is always a way. You must accept and make peace with a challenging situation and look for every way to push forward or move swiftly around it. Don't resist. Instead, embrace how your experience can change your life for the better. We so often focus all our energy on the obstacles and not on the desired outcome. It's just like when there is a car in front of us that has its turn signal on, we automatically look for a way around. Right, the last thing we want to do is stop the flow of where we are heading. We must focus on the outcome, not the obstacles. I think we are all very aware that if we want something in life, we must go and get it. If you wait around and just bliss out all day, it will never come about. There is never an easy road to success, so put down the books and skip the seminars that tell you that. Most people also want the easier option, because we like to believe we can do less and gain more. Definitely not the truth, and that's why most people never get what they want. It's a great selling tool for liars though, because they're not telling the real story. Notice that only a few tell you about their adversities. Wonder why? It's a shame for those who, 10 years down the track, are still sitting in their bedroom waiting for their Ferrari or their dream partner to drop out of the sky. Life is about learning, and the only way to grow is through challenges. This particular friend of mine did so much in the lead up to his launch and expected such a great outcome that he neglected the after plan. When the phone wasn't ringing off the hook and the stock wasn't flying out the door, he assessed this outcome as a failure. What he wasn't aware of is that most business launches don't actually go according to plan. It is absolutely crucial that your road of success is not based on one particular event. If it is, you leave yourself open to great disappointment. If you prepare for one big event, build up momentum, and take massive action, then end up disheartened, that's worse than never going for it in the first place. This usually happens to people who have defined one set way to achieve something. Don't ever change your ultimate want if you truly believe in it, but be able to move around. You must diversify your efforts. Bruce Lee summed it up beautifully when he said, "When you put water in a teacup, it becomes the teacup. When you put water in a bowl, it becomes the bowl. It can also crash or flow. Be water, my friends." What he was referring to is how water is able to mold its shape into anything it is put into. We must be able to mold ourselves into any situation we find ourselves in, as there is never one set way to be. There are many different avenues to be taken at all times. When you do find yourself at points of challenge, be aware that they are actually for your benefit. Any successful person will tell you that it was times of challenge that made them push harder and think broader. Adversities and challenges are actually learning opportunities. Regarding my friend's business launch, I'd like to add that 12 months later, a businessman walked into his showroom and bought $60,000 worth of stock in one day. The ball rolled from there. He was quick to remind me that he had nights when he felt like his head was underwater and would run to his toilet to throw up, but he refused to put a time limit on what he believed in. He kept the faith, persisted, and finally got his break. Life is a gift. My friends, you may only be one step away from unwrapping the paper. If happiness is looking forward to something, and great emotions inspire us to act, then we must continue to set up new challenges. Yes, never lose sight of your passion, and always set up new visions and challenges far before the completion of the imminent one. The most important thing to recognize when setting out to achieve is that every step you take is one step closer. You must have your eyes fixed on this notion so it builds massive incentive, and you must never lose sight of your goals. Continue to take action and walk those steps that light up in front of you every day. Keep the faith if you believe in what you are doing, and there you have the ingredient to great achievement. Here's a strategy to ensure the strength of your success. Step 1. Create many plans. If you have a plan, that's absolutely great. Create another one. Create 5 more if you can. Always have many options for improvement. If you don't have a plan, then make one. If you're thinking you don't know where to start, then my advice is to keep your eyes fixed on the prize. Feel it, be it, breathe it, meditate over it, talk about it, pray for it. Don't care what it is, just consume yourself with it. This will allow for inspiration to appear everywhere, and then write stuff down. Even if it seems extremely small at the time, make sure you catch it on paper, and things will flow from there. Create the after plan. If there are roadblocks, this will allow you to change direction. Step 2. Take appropriate action. You must take action every single day. Do 2, 3, 5, or 10 things a day. Just make sure you are doing something. This will create momentum. Small steps equal massive progress. If you beat at a piñata enough times, the candy will eventually fall out. Use that concept with your visions. Step 3. Acknowledge challenges, adversities correctly. Don't just accept how things seem in an instant. That's narrow-minded. You must have an open mind on the road of achievement. Every time a challenge or adversity appears in your life, it doesn't matter how small. See it as a learning point. If you commit to making this simple adjustment, you will be inundated with great opportunities for growth. Step 4. Never lose sight. Never ever take your eyes off the prize. Always remain focused on what you believe in. If it makes your heart sing, then don't stop. Holding your ultimate visions close to your heart and mind will continue to light up the path for you. It's our true inspiration. Getting down to business, take up one idea. Make that one idea your life. Think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full on that idea, and just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success. That is the way great spiritual giants are produced. Wishful thinking doesn't work without action. So now it's time to see how action might not always work without some sort of plan. They say, hard work always pays off. Well, I know people who have worked hard for 30 years and still don't have the things they wanted 20 years ago. I am the first to admit that achievement doesn't come easy, but when you enjoy the process, it doesn't seem that hard either. You enjoy the process when you have created so much emotional attachment to its result that you wouldn't live any other way. We must learn to work smart and with a strategy. In the beginning of my change, I made a promise to myself that I would only model the elite of whatever industry I wanted to learn about. What would be the point of finding patterns from those who weren't as successful as others? Why not just go straight to the top and find their patterns? When I wanted to learn how to play tennis, I researched Roger Federer's style. The way he held the racket, his motion, and his game mindset became the groundwork for my practice. When I wanted to learn about business, I looked at the Chinese and Japanese. I was always fascinated with the way they did business. It always seemed secretive and mysterious to me. It was as if they knew things that the West had not yet grasped. Through my quest to find answers, I stumbled across a book called The Art of War, written by an ancient Chinese military general, strategist, and philosopher, Sun Tzu. I discovered that the Chinese and Japanese use this book, and similar war books, as a basis for their business ventures. They view business like going into battle, and I guess in most cases it is. Courage, honor, strategy, preparation, when to attack or defend, and when to retreat are all important aspects for these people's success. In order to make money from your passion, or even increase your wealth, you must think business. Does that mean your work isn't coming from your heart? If you are selfish and have no intention of sharing your success, then I guess it's not. If your work improves the lives of others and your business lifts your community, then of course it's still from your heart. It depends on the belief system you choose to build around monetizing your passion. When looking to build beliefs about money, think of a knife. If a knife was given to a humble man on an island, he could use it to cut fruit, which would make his life a little easier. If you gave the knife to a serial killer, you could probably bet what he would use it for. The knife can be two different tools. It all depends on how you look at it. Most of the people I have heard say money is evil or slander. Those who have a lot are usually the same ones I hear complaining about not having enough. That's a contradiction, if you ask me, but it's because the majority don't think they have the capability to increase their wealth. It's much easier to attack people who do have that capacity in order to gain some quick satisfaction. That's a contradiction, if you ask me, but it's because the majority don't think they have the capability to increase their wealth. It's much easier to attack people who do have that capacity in order to gain some quick satisfaction. How many of those people do you think would refuse a $10 million check? How many of them would refuse a double income bonus for the year? So is it money that is evil, or is it that some people do evil things with money? It's easier to blame a piece of paper than humans. While I was in Thailand learning about the power of the mind, I had the pleasure of staying with some monks for 3 days. Even they were reliant on financial donations from the people. In order for them to survive and keep the temples running in Bangkok, they needed money. Love it or lump it, it's a major part of our society. You might not want millions of dollars, and that's fine. I know people who have money that will last them a lifetime and they are unhappy, while some who are just comfortable are the happiest people alive. I also know people with no money who are the biggest haters, and those who have a lot and are doing great things for the world. How you deal with your financial situation is your choice. If you want to turn your passion into a lifelong career or create massive amounts of wealth, the reality is you must be prepared. Business is not for the faint-hearted, so it means we must set ourselves up and build strength. If history has taught us anything, it's that everyone is capable of achieving. You could buy a business, start your own, or you alone could be your business. Whatever it is, here are some questions to get your mind going. How can I make my idea feasible and profitable? Do I have a marketing plan? How can I market? What can I do to reach a large amount of people without taking the edge from the image I want to portray? Do I have some sort of business plan? Do I want investors? If so, when do they break even? At what point do they see profit? Are my visions still too vague? Do I need to create more clarity about what I want? Are there operational skills in the business I need to learn? Do I need 6 to 12 months practice in that type of business first? Are there people in the industry I can talk to and gain ideas from? Do I want a loan? If so, how much capital versus loan? Do I want my likely to make profits instantly? If not, do I need another job to survive and continue to invest? What are the principles and culture I want to promote in my business? Examples: honor, integrity, loyalty, fun, trust, etc. All successful businesses have these 2 areas cemented. They pass through to customers, staff, advertising, and marketing. It's also crucial that the owner practices what he preaches. Do I need to lengthen my days to get more done? Is it beneficial to condition myself to 6 hours of sleep rather than 8 or 10? Why do you want to achieve in business? Are you going to treat it like your own mission? Is it because you want to be your own boss, or like being in charge of your life? Are you passionate about what you do? If you are only doing it for the money, not the feeling, you will never be happy. The cause must always override the materials. If it doesn't, you're in trouble. It's fine to want the big toys, but never let them be the basis of crucial decision-making. Instead, let your passion be the sole decider. People do things that destroy their life when driven by material concerns. Make sure you keep on top of it. Don't be scared off by the questions here. Sometimes we ignore these things, but I guess that's why so many businesses crumble or people give up. I never went to university to learn how to answer them, and most successful business people I know didn't either. All you have to do is get the ball rolling. Even taking notice of some of these questions will help you fill in the gaps as you go along. For example, my marketing plan began on a notepad with a pencil. I started by listing a few ideas of how I could market the book. After about a month, it turned into about 10 pages. I would even pull over when driving so I could write a new idea in my phone. Then I began structuring it into sections and time frames. If you have yet to browse the internet for things you think will improve your business, do so immediately. You can find practically anything on the internet, and it's a free source. I'm not saying you will base your success on it, but it's a great reference. I typed in ways to market a book, and was instantly bombarded with thousands of ideas. Only build on progress. When we are working toward our visions, it is crucial that we acknowledge every step we take. It seems we go around reminding ourselves about when we make mistakes, but how often do we pat ourselves on the back for doing something great? Even if it's having the courage to tell someone how much you love them. Sending one email toward your vision, or finding growth from self-criticism, they are all things to be really proud of. Any great achiever has used this critical tool in reaching their peak. If you take a minute, you will actually realize that it's impossible to gain growth from something that you see as a negative. We have to shift our mindsets to reward ourselves with every step. The way we train police dogs is a great example. These dogs are the elite of the elite, and they are very disciplined and trustworthy. The officers know that when it's time to deliver, these canines step up to the plate with accuracy and certainty. They are not beaten or screamed at in their training. They are conditioned by being rewarded every time they make progress. When this is repeated, it gives them the incentive to do it again and again, until they are like machines. The only way to really enjoy our life and achieve our goals is to condition ourselves to the great feeling we attain when we are rewarded. When you were a child and your parents screamed at you to do something, even though you might have done it, you didn't want to do it again. On the other hand, when you did something and they mentioned how proud they were and how well you did, you felt happy enough to repeat it. We live in a society where punishment for doing the wrong thing is seen as the solution. It seems that misbehaving gets far more attention, so it becomes quite appealing to those in search of a spotlight. But how often do we praise people for doing great things for the world? How often are they recognized? Is it any wonder why there are so many people who are lost and confused? The only way to change is by building on positive progress. Our true motivation lies in repeatedly being proud of yourself. If you ever wonder how some people seem to stay so motivated in life, this is why. They don't wait for other people to come and praise them for their efforts. They do it themselves. This influences others to do it, because they feel your passion. Even if it's something that you think you might have done poorly, always look for the growth in it. I was coaching an aspiring singer who would really beat herself up over not hitting the correct notes. All she focused on was how poorly she had done, and she forgot to recognize the great aspects of her performance. Instead of looking at her mistakes and saying, "How can I improve these areas and work on them?" she would view them as a failure. We are our own biggest critics, but once you recognize that your criticism is the best life coach you will ever have, you will excel. You need to get physically excited with every step you take, regardless of how small it might seem at the time. This allows you to realize that accomplishment feels great on all levels. Get physical, get vocal, jump up and down, dance around your house, look like a crazy person, it doesn't matter. Just build incentive. Your feelings of today shape tomorrow. Most of us, swimming against the tides of trouble the world knows nothing about, need only a bit of praise or encouragement, and we will make the goal. Who says you can't? You do. Part 7. Fear, friend or foe. Too many people are thinking of security instead of opportunity. They seem to be more afraid of life than death. As a child, if you woke up facing the wrong side of the bed, you would feel scared for that moment. Nothing looks the same. The place where you sleep every night suddenly seems out of the ordinary. Everything's out of place, and panic begins to set in. But the more you start to focus and take a closer look, the more your surroundings begin to make sense. Relief takes over your emotional state, and you realize you had nothing to panic about in the first place. In order to make peace with fear, we need to take a closer look. Throughout our life, we have been bombarded with the notion that fear is a foe that should be avoided at all costs. I'm here to tell you that fear is actually the best friend some have never had. Fear has a tendency to send us unconscious messages that will benefit our life. Just like any best friend, it is telling you to step up and pick up your game. It might be an area of your life that you are lacking in, and all fear is there to do is remind you that you shouldn't forget about it and walk off. Think of it as your own success alarm clock that says, if you don't listen to me carefully in this instance, you can't get the most out of life. If we never get scared, it means we aren't taking any chances. Being scared also tells us that something important is happening, right? We must search deeper into the feeling and listen carefully to what it's telling us. Once we've achieved that, we will be able to see a new way in which to take action against fear. The more we attempt to eliminate fear instead of using it to our benefit, the more it feels like trying to put out fire with gasoline. This creates more fire and more fear. As I was writing this book, I was scared that my writing wasn't up to scratch. There was a period when I thought I was losing my touch, and it began to worry me. Knowing that I had to quickly question this feeling, I began probing. I discovered that I was feeling fear of not knowing whether this would resonate with people from all different walks of life. I wanted it to be adaptable to everyone, regardless of financial, religious, and social position. I knew that I had to align myself with fear, and, just as any good friend does, it reminded me when it was time to raise my standards. I went to people from all walks of life and gave them the same section to read. It was the chapter on questioning, and it seemed they were all fascinated. That was the power of getting to the heart of my feeling. Fear is looking at something with the worst possible outcome. Is someone really scared of snakes, or are they scared of getting bitten by a snake? Do they fear the tall building, or do they fear falling off the tall building? Are they really afraid of venturing into business, or are they afraid of failing? People are only scared of an outcome that is imaginary. The 3 initial questions I would ask are, 1. What am I really scared of here? Rather than thinking, I'm scared, 2. How can I view this differently? And what new beliefs would I have to implement in order for it to benefit my life? Would I have to believe that overcoming this fear is the only way to get the most out of life? 3. How can I use this to take action and help myself grow? Again, it is a process of deep questioning rather than just accepting. This is how we grow and exceed our expectations. Let's say you have made an important appointment to be somewhere at 3 p.m. on Monday. When the day comes, you hop out of the shower and realize it's already 2:40 p.m. Fear starts to kick in because you just missed the bus. All the positive thinking in the world isn't going to help you if the next bus comes at 2:55 p.m. So you now use the knee-jerk feeling of fear to support your action. You call the local taxi service and off you go. Your fear has taught you that next time you should plan better. This is a basic example, but one that seems to be very common in our society. In essence, if we don't align ourselves with fear in everyday life, we will never learn. And we all know that learning equals growth. Don't resist fear, embrace it. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You must do the thing which you think you cannot do. Eleanor Roosevelt, you must give strong reasons as to why you want to overcome a particular fear. This will add purpose to its accomplishment. We play these new reasons with intensity every time the fear comes to mind. If we have a fear of snakes, but common sense tells us that there are none around, does it mean we won't be scared from the thought of them? We definitely will be, because it's only ever in our mind. A particular client of mine would almost be in tears when her friends would say, "How's your day been, Jess?" Seems pretty funny, but hearing a noise similar to that a snake would make caused her to shake in her boots. By enforcing new reasons why you want to overcome the fear, you break your neurological pattern and get into a different state. Surprisingly, it doesn't take long to condition a new one. It can happen so quickly that I've seen people's habits, phobias, and fears literally disappear in 1 week. It sounds simple enough, but how many people do you think take the time to do it? Not many, I can tell you. Or they will repeat, "This stuff doesn't work," because they don't believe how quickly they can turn their life around. In the face of fear, confidence is self-trust. The only way to build trust in your ability is to face and overcome your fears. I've always said there are two sides to ourselves, the scared guy and the inspirational guy. The scared guy is the weak one, and in the face of a fear, he will tremble. Think his life is about to end, and look for the closest exit. The inspirational guy is trying to help you, and will say, "You're not going anywhere. You're coming with me." He will drag you if he has to, and make you stare at the fear straight in the face. The question is, how do you empower and grow your inspirational side and weaken the other one? We must counteract fear in any way possible. We all know that when we are feeding a baby, we don't shove 2 steaks down its throat to ensure nourishment. The aim is to build your strength, so act as soon as fear shows itself, but don't kill yourself in the process. Let's look at a treadmill. For example, most would initially see running on a treadmill as being painful, too hard, embarrassing, or a waste of time. In order for us to shift our mindset, we must first sort out our belief system. We would begin to see the treadmill as being very pleasurable. It would represent a healthy life, a fit-looking body, confidence, strength, a must in order to be successful, and a step toward achieving a lot of things on your wants list. The major tip is to feed this little by little, so you could start by walking. Now, isn't that a different approach? Most would look at that equipment and automatically think running, which equals embarrassment and more pain. But start off by walking, and then suddenly, it doesn't seem that hard. If you hit it really hard the first time, it could come as a big shock and cause even more pain. It will be more fun this way, and more desirable the next time that scared voice tells you to run away. You will eventually want to push yourself to the limits and be much stronger when faced with your limiting side. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. James Neal Hollingworth, aka Ambrose Redmoon. Fear is also a physical emotion, so it means we have to counteract it with our body and get into a state of certainty. We know it's physical as much as mental and emotional because we feel fear throughout our whole body. You must get really physical and loud with yourself when encountering it. This rule can be applied to any fear we face, as we must learn to drag out the strength that lies within us. It's never a question of whether your strength is there, but rather what you do to drag it out. As time goes on and you begin to feed your strength, you will notice that you become fearful when you think of settling for the life that once made you unhappy. Just the thought of it pushes you to act even harder, because there is nothing scarier than living an undesired life once you have created a compelling vision of what you really want. 1. Ask yourself how you have overcome fears in the past. What did you do? Whom did you talk to? Who else has been in a similar situation and gotten through it? 2. Shift beliefs around the certain experience or objected value to its accomplishment and make it pleasurable. 3. Stay focused on the desired outcome. This will turn your fear into excitement. 4. Counteract your fear immediately. Use your body to get into a different state to overpower it. Write down all the great things you can attain from overcoming this fear. Keep your eye fixed firmly on these benefits. Your fears will soon turn into challenges, and those will turn into excitement. Fear of achievement. At Microsoft, there are lots of brilliant ideas, but the image is that they all come from the top. I'm afraid that's not quite right. I have heard so many people talk about top athletes, people who are worth massive amounts of money, or those who are in a great relationship. They say things like, he was born to be a golfer, or she has always been a smart businesswoman. I know, because I used to join in those conversations. We say it as if these people had no real choice in the matter. In some way we try to believe that it was planned out for them, and no matter which way they went in life, that's how they would have ended up. I don't see how any of you could be so ignorant. After witnessing the passion these people put into their success, if you are one of the people who have this thought, instead of lying to yourself and believing successful people are vastly different from you, I urge you to look fear in the face and prove yourself otherwise. Underachievers always pick out the few stories where people got everything on a silver platter and use that excuse when they hear of anyone achieving. For example, they will say things like, he has a rich dad, they were lucky, or she did that in an era when new ideas were available to create. We all know that's only an attempt to shade the lack of action they are taking in their own lives. It's nothing short of garbage. There are more young, innovative, self-made millionaires now than ever before. There is even a saying in the financial world that billionaire is the new millionaire. It takes someone to be courageous and wise to recognize the hard work and determination of those who have achieved. By acknowledging that truth, it helps you respect the game a whole lot more. It even promotes the understanding that you're not the only one who has experienced or will experience hardship on your road, and that's inspiring. That some achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. Abraham Lincoln. Being guilty of undermining achievers myself in the past, I have now come to realize that my limiting thoughts were just me being afraid of achievement. I never believed I could be great, so it was easier to escape in fear than to face the truth. What came to acknowledge is that the major difference with these great achievers is that they conquered that restrictive view of success. Were they born programmed with that powerful mindset? Was their journey a perfect walk? Some of the greatest achievers have been through experiences we would never trade for. We live in the same world, with the same capabilities. Look at Tiger Woods. Regardless of his off-field antics, the guy is the best at what he does. Playing golf, of course. At the age of 5, he went on the show, that's incredible, and declared that by the age of 20, he would beat the best golfers in history. Do you believe he ever lost sight of that vision? No matter what challenges came up, that vision stayed cemented. He continued to create his reality around that concept. This is a man who worked extremely hard for his achievements. Woods even asked his dad to give him military-style coaching. His dad would be in his face or use loud and annoying noises every time he went to swing. He would do anything to distract Woods in a moment of concentration. Toward the end of the intense program, Woods did not budge when faced with these challenges, and his dad then told him that his training was complete. His father also mentioned that he now had the strongest golf mind on the planet. He wasn't wrong. Woods knew the importance of mental training so much that he even hired a mind coach. Dr. J. Brunza would make him sit down and visualize hitting perfect shots over and over, the same technique of visualization we are learning in this book. Woods built an absolute belief system around his success. And who's to say there aren't 50 or 1,000 other potential better golfers than Tiger Woods? There may just be, but will they fight for their vision, or will they let their fear get in the way of achieving? Life is not to be feared or resisted. It is to be embraced, to be the best you can possibly be, and to live the life you dare to dream. We see the effects of great achievers' success, like the money they spend and the way they live, yet we rarely take the time to find out how they did it. We ignore that these achievers are just normal men and women who decided to pursue their true potential. We neglect everything that came before: their persistence, their compelling visions, their passion, or the strength they had to build. All these things needed to be conditioned. Albert Einstein once said, "I'm not particularly intelligent or particularly talented. I'm just very, very curious." Oprah Winfrey is a woman who was sexually abused and who lived in poverty as a child, but her passion for life became so overwhelming that she had to live it the best way she knew how. The guys from Google are another example of defying the odds and starting off small, in their garage, competing against Yahoo, the larger company at the time. It almost seems impossible to think that someone could actually achieve so much in one lifetime, let alone a few years. They all came to a point in their life where they decided they would never settle, but rather go on a quest for their dreams, no matter what challenges came their way. When you surrender to this commitment, the world smiles with you, and you get breaks you never believed possible. You don't have to want to make billions or even millions of dollars. It is entirely up to you. It's whatever makes you happy. Just understand that taking a chapter out of the book of some of the greatest is the best start to obtaining what you want. I have researched and met some of the greatest succeeders I know, and there are patterns. This book is based on those very patterns. They all stopped thinking, speaking, acting, and believing that they had no purpose in this world and began learning how to add value. They learned to use fear to grow, researched what successful people did before them, and lived by the exact strategies and values you are reading, rather than escape in their fear. Appreciating other people's success is vastly important when enhancing our own. Being jealous or in disbelief will distance you from ever understanding the qualities you have within you. We must look at them and find out what they did differently from everyone else. As soon as you start doubting them, or believe that it was luck or coincidence, you fall back into the mass of underachievers. When you start to question and get intrigued by others' success, that's when you enter the minority of the greatest achievers in the world. Every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to cut all sources of retreat. Only by doing so can one be sure of maintaining that state of mind, known as a burning desire to win, essential to success. Napoleon Hill, having the ability to quickly and intelligently change the way you feel in times of emotional challenges is critical on the road to achievement. It's time for us to raise the bar and take enormous action. The following tasks are things you are going to apply to your daily lives, so saying you don't have the time is unacceptable. Remember, you signed the contract at the beginning of the book and said you were ready for change. If you do not want to act, then close the book and pack it up. You cannot be helped unless you are willing to help yourself. If you want to excel, then make it happen. Look at yourself in the mirror and repeat this 10 times before you start each day for the next 7 days. Make sure you get very vocal, emotional, physical, and forceful until it gets you into a complete mega state of certainty. I am in control of shaping my whole life through my state of mind, the emotions I choose, and the actions I take every day. No matter what challenges I am faced with in these next 7 days, my spirit will display and direct my strength to my success. It will empower me to do it forever. I can do anything I want in my life. By doing this every morning for the next 7 days, you will prove your commitment to yourself. It makes what you are doing concrete and helps condition your state immediately. All people with extraordinary lives are able to change their state in an instant. That is the advantage they have over the masses. What is worth more than your life? What are you willing to do to enhance it? Are you really committed to changing your course of direction forever? Is your truth telling that you are doing enough as it is? It doesn't matter how much you are doing toward empowering your life, it's still not enough. The moment you think you have done enough is the moment you stop growing. Since belief is all important, it behooves you to guard your thoughts. And as your beliefs will be shaped to a very great extent by the things you observe and think about, it is important that you should command your attention. Wallace D. You have already been implementing great changes with the previous tasks, but now we are stepping it up. When you start thinking of something that makes you feel down, worried, or stressed, you know that it's only because of your choice of focus, and it must be corrected immediately. You must look at the effect that every thought is having on your success. Once you look at the effects of your thoughts, rather than just thinking them, you jump off the automatic wheel, and you are able to enhance your life. Being aware of the power of your thoughts is absolutely crucial for attaining happiness and gaining what you set out for. Only by doing this are you able to begin forming the mindset of the most successful people in history. Don't deliberate about the disempowering thoughts too much. Just block them out with as much power as you possibly can and replace them with something that you love, something that makes you happy, or something that would put you in a state of excitement or fulfillment. A projection of a desired vision you have put in place for yourself or something that you really appreciate is a great way to shift your focus and emotion immediately. Even if you feel that you shouldn't, it doesn't matter. You must. If there is a secret to true fulfillment and achievement, it's being able to take control of your mind. I don't care what you have to do to get that thought out of your head. You must do it. Scream at yourself, or forcefully let yourself know that thought is not going to take control over your life anymore, and repeat the new thought over and over. One day my auntie thought I was crazy because she heard me screaming from outside my house. She said it sounded like a lion that hadn't eaten in a week. Quite a funny comparison, I thought, because that's how hungry I felt for my success. Good aggression is different from anger. Don't be mistaken. It's fine to get forceful with yourself and is necessary in some challenging situations. No matter what it is or how challenging it may seem, you have to fight. Keep repeating that it's going to be okay, that it's all in your mind, and that you have full control of yourself at all times. There is always another way of looking at something. You choose the way you feel through your choice of thoughts. Tell your mind that you are now in control and you are not going to let it wander. To determine if a thought is having a detrimental effect on your life, you must examine the feeling you get from it. You must have that army always ready at the entrance of your mind. For example, if you are thinking, "I can't make it," you will quickly repeat, "I can make it, I can make it," over and over with more force. This is training your mind, and what goes on in your mind determines the outcomes you get in life. You must maintain focus on your new direction. Even after a week, you will notice that disempowering thoughts diminish just by being aware of them. Proper attention doesn't just miraculously appear, it needs to be directed and deliberately commanded with intensity. We previously covered the importance that your language has on your life. Now it's time to monitor and course correct for the empowering options. Go back to the list of options in the verbal action section, page 143, and use that as a guide. For these 3 days, there are to be no negative connotations or limiting words whatsoever. Speak with confidence and enthusiasm. Every time you say can't, impossible, I'm drained, or too hard, you are to correct yourself immediately. Even by staying conscious of this, you will break your old patterns and the emotions you experience throughout your day. You will make your day surprisingly better just by doing this exercise. When people complain to you, do not join in. The results you see from this are actually going to make you laugh after the week is over. You will be wondering why you ever chose to shape your life with your previous discussions. Avoid the news on TV, in newspapers, or anything else that can implant negative thoughts in your mind during this exercise. This way you will not be able to talk to others about these emotionally draining topics, unless you are using it to benefit yourself or others. It will force you to come up with intelligent things to discuss an important aspect to living a happy life. This also goes for the way in which you are going to hold your body in the next 3 days. When you are humble, yet confident, you become a powerhouse. Don't be egotistical or walk around like you have a stick up your backside, because it may just have the opposite effect on what you want to achieve. It's not brain surgery to figure out how to stand confidently. Unless you are aware of your actions, you will never achieve or be fulfilled. Take as much physical action as you can toward one of your wants on your list. Emails, phone calls, browsing the internet for information, and speaking to people are all taking action. It will build up. Are you ready to explore? This is the task where you turn your fear into excitement and explore your ability to enrich your life experience. This exercise is so important to every part of your life that it absolutely must be completed. Do something that you have always wanted to do, or think of something new. Bungee jump, skydive, ice skate, go to an improv or cooking class, drive a go-kart, paint, talk to that person at the office or your coffee shop who seems cool, submit a short story to a publication, go to the gym, rock climb, or do whatever you can think of. If you're 65 years old and you think you're too old to go paintball shooting, then think again. I was up against one such player the last time I went. Let's just say I got my butt kicked. That senior could shoot, not to mention the team of girls digging into me as well. My point is that there are no excuses, only fear. Put that fear on the shelf for one day and do something that electrifies your spirit. No matter what it is, if it's pushing the boundaries for you, then do it. We get so caught up in routine that we forget to live. We experience the same emotions day in and day out. In order to create happiness in your life, you must stay excited and have something to look forward to. Set this challenge up, but most important, enjoy it. Who says you can't? You do. Part 8. Quality-driven success. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Too many people have become misled by the concept of achievement and the word success. We have proved many times throughout history that the view of success that so many people take on board is a myth. It was February 2010 when a close friend rang me up to tell me that famous fashion designer Alexander McQueen had hanged himself in his apartment. But he had all this money and all this fame, so why would he commit suicide? He is just one of many great achievers who have taken their life. Edwin Armstrong, inventor of FM radio. In 1954, Pierre Bérégovoy, former French Prime Minister, in 1993. Kurt Cobain, singer-songwriter and Nirvana co-founder, in 1994. And Robin Williams, actor and comedian, in 2014, all ended their own lives. The list goes on, not to mention how many top actors, athletes, and artists suffer from drug abuse and emotional torment. On the other hand, there are many who have it all in life, fulfillment and great achievements. What's the difference between the two? Some searched for a feeling of success only through their achievements. The others acknowledge that success is in who they are and how they live their life, not in what they have. The truth is, we can continue to achieve in our life and still be unfulfilled. You might want to be successful in raising a child, in fitness, in your finances, in your relationships with others, in one particular area of your life, or in all of them. I just want you to understand that success does not exist in anything outside of you, and should never be looked at as a thing you must chase. Success does not lie in a Ferrari, a mansion, or any of the achievements mentioned above. Just like any purchase or singular desire you have wanted in your life, the feeling doesn't last. All people who base their definition of success on external desires eventually ask themselves, is that it? What now? I know that's happened to you in the past with something, and you should understand that it will never change. It may have been the new watch, the handbag, the vacation, or the new car. Regardless of what it was, there came a time when you were once again at a standstill. You need depth and meaning in your life. True success is to discover the enormous power you have within, who you are, and the attitude you take out to life every day. Once you have grasped this, everything else will flow. Success must come well before obtaining those external wants. Once you attain real success first and begin to live a great life, the rest becomes the cherries on top of a beautifully made cake. If the cherries are taken away for whatever reason, it won't really make much difference, because the cake is already complete. It's extremely important to realize that it's success that actually gets what you want, not the other way around. When one isn't at peace, nothing makes sense. People have based success on money for many years. In recent times, success has taken on a whole new meaning. As more people are striving to be genuinely successful and focusing on abundance, surrounded by so much external pressure and demand by fast-moving societies, we are now striving for quality success. This is a balance between an inner peace and the constant self-growth that leads to achievement in all areas of life. Obviously, the degree of achievement is based on an individual's particular wants. Time doesn't stand still, so we always aspire to grow to the next level in our lives. Anchoring our success to important qualities will prevent going around in circles, just waiting to achieve fulfillment. Don't be mistaken, just because someone is a great achiever doesn't mean they are successful. In essence, success equals fulfillment, that deep understanding of ourselves. We all seek different dreams, but everyone strives for a balance. This is why I have worked to discover and find the qualities that must drive success. QDS. QDS is the process of eliminating negativity from within and hence from your surroundings right now, so you are able to attract and create more intelligently. If we allow the term success to drive the quality of our life, then we may become misled along the way and continue to work against what will really fulfill us. Never let it be the notion of success that enhances the quality of your life. Rather, let it be the qualities of your life that enhance success. It's like trying to build a state-of-the-art house on a poor foundation. It will never be stable, but, more important, it will never be state-of-the-art. Those qualities are the great foundation. When challenges arise on your journey, your strong foundation will prove that you can resist the pressure. I used these qualities to attract the most marvelous experiences, discover hidden knowledge, strengthen persistence, and achieve at a greater level. This stuff is powerful. What's great about these qualities is that all of us have them now, accessible and ready to use. Don't be someone who blindly walks around life believing they have to get patience, love, strength, or the truth. The sudden reality is that you have all the qualities you have been searching for. They have always been within you. Whether you choose to use them or not is up to you. A coward is incapable of exhibiting love. It is the prerogative of the brave. They say, love comes in many forms. They also say that love can drive us crazy. Is it really love that does those things, or are we tarnishing the reputation of the divine emotion? Are we undermining love and giving it unnecessary associations? I believe love comes in only one form. In the purest state, I had someone refer to love as coming in many different forms. When they told a story of a man who became so obsessed with his ex-girlfriend that he stalked her for 3 years. Love doesn't drive these actions. Jealousy, greed, hatred, or vengefulness should never be mistaken for the almighty love. For true love opposes such things. Love doesn't drive us crazy. Our inner demons battling it do. Love is the primary quality that can set us free from that feeling of emptiness. I am speaking of a love so pure, it is not restricted by what we see with our eyes, but is the feeling we attain from within, like the love some have for their mother, pet, child, husband, or life itself. That love is far beyond our eyes. Your dog may be the ugliest mutt to some, but the love you have for it is not restricted by its outward appearance. True love asks nothing but to fulfill itself. You alone can fulfill yourself with that love that lies eagerly within you. It will appear, but we ignore it on so many occasions. Love is the true guide in life and the only one to be served. If we do things out of pure intent, love will surely answer. Through love your dreams become real, and everyday life will show itself in the most beautiful way it knows how. It takes the cloth from your eyes and allows you to see the world in its truest essence. You align yourself with the world and everything in it, which is the basis of your dreams coming true. One man who had much controversy surrounding him, but who I believe demonstrated much love that went unnoticed, was Michael Jackson. A particular statement of his that I thought was truth, in essence, was, "Let us dream of tomorrow, where we can truly love from the soul, and know love as the ultimate truth at the heart of all creation." Regardless of perception or judgment of this man, that saying is undeniably true. The great know that greatness is love. Once you experience true love in your heart, you dedicate your life to showing the earth what you have discovered. All the important aspects for achieving fulfillment stem from love. My plan is to cover some of the main ones that have a direct impact on obtaining that goal. Love is like the seed of a plant. The seed is already planted within us. It is then fed by water and sunlight, which are your experiences and time to act. The two must correlate. In order to be fed, the seed must be ready for it, correct? The root then shoots out to the world and is exposed. It begins to blossom with all the effects of love, inner peace, patience, respect, and appreciation, to name a few. Its roots grow far and wide until they eventually intertwine with other plants. We all have that seed, and it's just waiting to be fed. Love by its very nature creates, and we are no exception. All men in history who have accomplished great things have used love as their driving force. It's the true essence of your being that will make you go well past your previous limitations and achieve things impossible. When love takes over your life, buckle up and get ready for a ride beyond your wildest dreams. This love is so great that it is reflected in everyone and everything. With love, your intention is to be the best person you know how and treat everyone and everything with that same respect and love. That's the secret to fulfillment. Life without love is like a tree without blossoms or fruit. Greatness also stems from love. In fact, everyone is great right now, but most are unaware of it. Loving yourself is an essential part of success. You don't love yourself. You can never trust yourself to gain success. Would you really trust someone with your life that you didn't love? Well, if you don't love yourself deep down and embrace it on a daily basis, how can you trust yourself to get what you want? There is a difference between loving who you really are and loving who you pretend to be. Loving yourself is not about putting yourself above anyone else. Rather, a true self-love equalizes you with the world. You are able to understand yourself more, and it allows you to better understand others. We have been conditioned to believe that loving ourselves is egotistical, but it's not loving ourselves that actually displays ego, because we edge God out of our life. If you truly love yourself, you won't allow yourself to go against your claimed morals. You would acknowledge that others' growth is your growth and vice versa. In saying this, you can't really help anyone until you help yourself first. While helping yourself, you will be helping them. Contributing your true self is far greater than materialistic help. We must not judge people on their appearance, religious status, or environment. We are all human and have an equally important role to play. If you commit to those limiting actions, you are only tarnishing a relationship with yourself, and it will never be the means to gain true success. When you treat others with respect, the respect you have for yourself grows. It's like when we meet someone who backs the same sports team or has the same cultural background. There is an instant bond and respect. We gain a sense of belonging from that person and will immediately get into conversation, maybe share a laugh or two. There's a feeling of camaraderie that seems to arise. Imagine considering mankind as being on the same team. Picture the sense of belonging now and the rapport you will be able to build with others. Picture the difference in attitude and your approach toward those you come into contact with. Everything you do to others, you are equally doing to yourself. That is the law of life. No one escapes. My way of dealing with others is quite simple. I always take notice that they have the potential to love. We're created by love, and I am convinced they are great people deep down. I choose not to see what others see, and it greatly affects my experience with people. By doing this, they will feel your genuine approach and lack of ego. This method unconsciously forces others to react in a similar way. That's truly acting out of love, and it is reflected in everything and everyone around you. We are in this together. It's called networking. But remember, no one wants to help those who aren't willing to help themselves. So do things out of love and good intentions. And there will always be people willing to lend a hand. We is greater than me, but the change must start with you. Look in the mirror and tell yourself how much you love the person you see, regardless of what you have been through. It might seem stupid at the beginning, but that's only because social norms and other unfulfilled people have influenced your beliefs. Look at what this person in the mirror has been through, yet they are still here to face the music. That's something to love and respect, because it shows strength and the determination to never give up. If you want to give love and be loved, you must love yourself first. When you feel love on the inside, you will see love on the outside. You are loved. It is better to start loving yourself than to wait around for someone else to do it for you. Eventually, you will come to understand that love heals everything, and love is all there is. Freedom begins with the power that comes from understanding that you control your life. It is the absolute knowledge that you choose the way you feel, and hence the way you live is structured by freedom of choice. We have been socially programmed to believe that our freedom is based on outside events. In other words, we must wait for things to make us happy on the outside to complete our inner self. In order to experience true freedom in your life, you must realize that your perception of the outside world is nothing more than a mere reflection of the internal self that you create. How you feel is what you see. The inside must change first, in order for the outside to be seen in happiness. At a deeper level, when we change our perception of the outside, it really does change what happens on the outside. We choose to create our physical, mental, and verbal actions every day. Without realizing it, we make them stronger by repetition. Mostly we are oblivious to the fact that we are creating our lives under such slavery. Our freedom is not dependent on a job, a vacation, or any other person. We may change a job or decide to go on a trip, but essentially it is the freedom that was discovered first that allows us to do those things. Attaining freedom by choice is the only way to discover fulfillment. If you are looking for the material world to free you, then you will never find it. Eternal freedom stems from pure love of oneself, a love so strong that it trusts you to feed your intuition, all the while projecting that same love out to the world. Cold and wet nights seem to be appreciated just as much as warm ones. You choose to be free, or not, every day. What is it about love that makes it so fascinating? Could it be its ability to transcend the earthly concept of time, its power to defy all odds, its infiniteness, its courage to conquer all things, its dwelling in all creation, or just its very existence? Since love, and not understanding, is the starting point for the journey of self-truth, all who wish to walk it can take the first step. As I was cleaning the mirrors at a boxing gym I once worked at, something dawned on me. Looking at them from a distance, I wasn't able to tell whether they were dirty or not. The closer I looked, the more unclean they became. The only way I was able to clean the mirror was by taking a closer look. With my reflection staring back at me, I wondered how I could use this principle in my life. We don't notice our truth or the uncleanliness we surround ourselves with unless we decide to take a closer look. From a distance, we can be fooled into thinking that we are following our heart and need no improvement. But dare to take a closer look, and the real answers begin to appear. In order to be truly happy and obtain what we desire, we must be honest with ourselves. Well, that's the truth right there, isn't it? When a terrorist kills someone who he knows is loved by somebody else, it's for greed, ill power, or selfish satisfaction. It's not the truth. He is feeding his lies and he knows it. He will never find fulfillment during such an act, because he is separating himself from his true essence. Humans have a fundamental tendency toward truth. Call it common sense, conscious ability, reasoning, it doesn't matter. We are all able to distinguish between a loving act and a hateful one. We are built with love, that ultimate truth, and love will question every decision we make. Lying to yourself doesn't hide the truth, so you can bet your life that it will always come and display itself. We don't have a very high tolerance for psychological dissonance of any kind. Self-deception can have terrible consequences for a person's experience of their conscience. Even in a person with a not-so-advanced conscience, a man may imagine things that are false, but he can only understand things that are true, for if the things be false, the apprehension of them is not understanding. The greatest indication of knowing our truth is listening to that deep voice within that tells us what is correct. It's that same voice that tells you one way will make you ultimately happy, while the other path will only bring you short-term satisfaction. Some call it the heart, and science is proving now more than ever the connection between emotional and physiological changes in our body. Dr. Deepak Chopra has a deep understanding of how these two correlate and the vast impact they have on our lives. I never realized how crucial the saying "follow your heart" is in shaping our destiny. The problem is, we rarely listen to it. If they don't teach you this, you are sadly being lied to. It's one thing being able to distinguish between your truth and your lie, yet it's vastly different when it's time to act. Mastering this next quality is the key to experiencing a joy most people only dream about having. When we feed something, it grows. For some, fear, sadness, lack of direction, and unhappiness have become daily indulgences. Every time you make a decision or commit an act that is against your truth, love, kindness, happiness, giving, patience, it sabotages the relationship you have with yourself. Is it any wonder that so many people don't know what they want or which direction to take? On the other hand, when you feed your truth, it will grow to a size you never imagined possible. In your truth also lies fulfillment. When we begin to feed that truth, our happiness gets fuller, and in it is found inner peace. There is no limit to the growth. It's a never-ending supply, because you are supplying it. You are the hand that feeds you, so you can always rely on yourself. However, if your hand is always reaching out to be fed by an external supply, that growth can stop at any time. Those people, money, and situations may not last forever. The more you grow, the more your supply of truth grows. I'm so glad I trained myself to feed my truth, because it's definitely the reason you are reading this. If I hadn't, I would never have been able to discover what I'm great at. I've spoken to excellent achievers, but more important, those who are successful, and they all have the same thing to say. They began listening to and acting on that voice deep inside, not only for major decisions that had to be made, but also for the smallest acts of everyday life. There is a distinguishable truth in every moment, opportunity, or experience. If you are willing to reason with yourself, you will be able to clearly identify it, and more important, act on it. We must really start listening to that intelligent and wise voice within. If brushing it off has become a way of life, you must change immediately. Here is one example of how I conditioned myself to feed my truth. We all know what a garbage bin is used for, so we are able to distinguish that the bin is there to serve that purpose and throw garbage in. Common sense reminded me of this my whole life, but I chose to ignore it on so many occasions. The difference now was that I began to amplify my truth, common sense, which clearly told me to throw my trash in the bin. Throwing something on the ground when I knew there was a better alternative was disrespectful. And I guess if we want respect, we must give respect. By taking my truth into consideration and actually listening to it, I was able to see the important role it played in my own life. This change in action taught me a few other things. One of them was that I was able to commit to doing something that I actually wanted to do. I fed that deep voice, and it instantly created new emotions. Follow your heart, but be quiet for a while first. Ask questions, then feel the answer. Learn to trust your heart. This simple change in behavior will train you to have patience. When something like a garbage bin isn't accessible right away, you don't do something that is against what you really know you should do, just to obtain some short-term satisfaction. Can you see how this could benefit us in reaching our greater visions? It might seem very insignificant, but this is what allows you to acknowledge that you have the power to think, act, and create for yourself. It allows you to create your own happiness, which in turn helps you to respect more of your decisions. More important, it proves that the feeling of fulfillment does exist. Even when you make a decision that is extremely hard at the time, you will never regret it if it's aligned with your truth. When you believe something enough, you live by it. We always force ourselves to feel down when we do something that is against our truth. But how often do we recognize or acknowledge when we do something great? To condition a great and rewarding feeling when acting on that conscious voice is the ultimate advantage in life. Remember, it starts with the small things, because that's what gets the ball rolling. If you don't have the energy to do the small tasks, how are you ever going to reach your peak in performance or get the most out of life? When you make the decision to feed your truth, don't dither about it. Make sure you create the energy if you must, and do it with great intention. A smoker is a perfect example. When I ask people about their smoking habit, they say, "But I want to smoke." Nearly every time I ask if they were in an ideal world and could be free from smoking, would they? I get the answer, yes, of course. The truth is the voice that tells them to give it up, and they know it. That voice is always speaking, and you know when it does. Are you going to mess up along the way? Of course, you're human. In life we may not make all the best decisions, but we are not meant to. If we did, we would never know growth. The seeker after truth should be humbler than the dust. Only then, and not till then, will he have a glimpse of truth. In the march toward truth, anger, selfishness, hatred, etc., naturally give way, for otherwise truth would be impossible to attain. Mahatma Gandhi, a social term for acting on our truth, is integrity. In Western ethics, integrity is regarded as the quality of having an intuitive sense of honesty and truthfulness in regard to the motivations for one's actions, and it can be regarded as the opposite of hypocrisy. The word integrity stems from the Latin adjective integer, whole, complete. In this context, integrity is the inner sense of wholeness deriving from qualities such as honesty and consistency of character. As such, one may judge that others have integrity to the extent that one judges whether they behave according to the values, beliefs, and principles they claim to hold. Just really listen to yourself, then act on it. That's all it takes. You can spend your whole life hanging on to what could or should have been, but you can't go back in time. When we read a novel, we turn the pages forward, not backward. If we did read it backward, the story would make no sense and confuse us. Having regrets is taking away the essence of life. Because at the moment when the decision was made, it was exactly what you wanted. The decision was made for a particular reason. The great thing is that you may now see a different path of greater benefit. Using this knowledge for new experiences is the advantage successful people have over the masses. It is absolutely crucial to obtain knowledge from our experiences, but we should never be remorseful over past decisions that helped shape our destiny. Residing in regret is like being stuck in a dark hole, where your mind is telling you there is no hope or means to get out. If you switch on a light bulb, but cover it with a thick piece of material that makes the room dark, does that mean there is no light? No, the light is still there, it's just covered. We have the ability to take off that material at any time. Just think of that material as being your regretful mindset and the illusions that come along with it. Previous experiences that so many people allow to control their life are nothing more than a mental image. It is a story that we replay over and over again, tormenting ourselves, but it is gone in reality. Take a look around. You're not physically in that moment that hurt you anymore, are you? Your memory of that experience is a figment of your imagination, so it means you have the power to change the way you think about it. It is now only in your mind. It is never the experience that is making you feel like you can't move on. It's your perception of the experience. No experience needs to be looked at in one set way. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Max Planck, I can't think of anything worse than living in regret. It's true that we shaped our life around those decisions, but in the same sense we have the ability to shape our life around our current decisions. As long as you regret the decisions you have already made, the ones you must make will be sabotaged. In the process of eliminating regret, we must use forgiveness to conquer it. Forgiveness is one of the greatest gifts we have. It grants us permission to break free of burdens that restrict us from being at peace with ourselves. Resentment and remorse leave no room for growth. If we do not forgive ourselves, we will remain stagnant and hateful, and that will definitely affect what we create next in our lives. We must be at peace with our past in order to gain a full view of opportunities, to stop being restricted by a narrow mind, and to allow for different decisions to be made in the future. There is no future in the past. Accept the pain, cherish the joys, resolve the regrets. Then can come the best of benedictions. If I had my life to live over again, I'd do it all the same. It is essential that we accept our previous actions and those of others as an opportunity for growth. You may say sorry to someone, but don't expect their acceptance. Such an expectation could lead to constant disappointment. You must accept that you did your part. Apologizing to someone is not admitting that you did something wrong. It's allowing the other person, and yourself, to acknowledge that you now see a better way. The most important thing you can do is forgive yourself. This will allow you to move on and make progress toward visions that you never trusted yourself to entertain. And if you think about a time when you have forgiven someone, wasn't it the case that you only truly came to forgive them once you forgave yourself for being in that situation? What someone does to you cannot change, but how you see it can. So in order to forgive yourself and others, you must accept inwardly that it was your choice to be in that situation, to feel the way you did about it, to observe it the way you did, and to learn what you did from it. You can't grab the future if you are still holding on to the past. I once spoke to a woman who was raped as a young teen. The hatred she felt toward her attacker stopped her from excelling in life, especially in her relationships with other men. It wasn't until she found peace within herself that she was able to forgive him. She explained to me that through such an evil act, she found liberation within herself and began viewing the experience as one she could gain self-knowledge and strength from. Forgiveness is letting go of the hope that the past can be changed. Self-forgiveness allows us to rebuild the faith in ourselves and those around us. It helps us realize that we are free from emotional restrictions, so we can once again portray real love. Forgiveness is truly a courageous act and helps liberate the soul. Without forgiveness and acceptance of the past, we remain crippled and unable to run. Failing to forgive will prevent us from ever gaining true happiness or fully respecting the great qualities that reign within us. 2 major keys to real success. The deeper your scars, the more room there is to fill them up with love. Don't hate your scars, appreciate their depth. Free your mind, body, and soul. Anyone who has created an extraordinary life will agree that patience is definitely at the top of the list. Without the constant use of this quality, it is impossible to create. If you follow a great achiever, someone who has a great relationship, or an individual who would be regarded as a wise mentor, you will see that patience is what keeps the fine line between sane and insane. It enhances the ability to clearly see what is around and make sense of a situation that we would otherwise get angry about or not properly assess. Without using this master quality, we will make irrational decisions that could have a detrimental effect on our life. In business, a lack of patience could influence us to make decisions that will adversely affect our goals. In relationships, it may cause unnecessary difficulties such as stress, lack of trust, or paranoia, which would then also result in the deterioration of our health. Impatience will attack every part of your life, especially when in pursuit of your visions. Some people get confused by the whole concept and think that taking action every day toward a vision is being impatient. I would just like to clear up that it's precisely the opposite. Lack of patience especially takes its toll when on the road to achievement. Most people go for the quick dollar when impatience starts to take over, or settle for less than the bigger picture they have set up. You will notice that most really successful people struggled drastically at the beginning of their journey, yet they refused to stop pursuing their goal. It wasn't about wealth right away. It was about getting themselves right first. We must build that inner strength initially. I can't tell you how many people have told me they attempted to do something they love, but said after a little while they went back to working a full-time job that they didn't enjoy, just for the short-term satisfaction of having income. They get that money but are even more unproductive with it because they aren't enjoying their life. A regular income can really benefit you, but not if it takes over your desired passion in life and is just an excuse to settle or give up. You will never be fulfilled that way. Some powerful achievers have had debts through the roof and been ejected from their houses because they couldn't pay the rent, but they never lost sight of their vision. That persistence always pays off. Stop comparing your journey with somebody else's. Not all flowers blossom at the same time. In my experience, and through speaking to many about this topic, I have discovered that impatience is the main factor in what we call quitting. What we want seems so far away that it appears easier to stay where we are and just settle. This important question must then follow. Is it really easier living a life that is less than what you know you deserve? We will find everything and anything to do besides what we need to do in order to get what we want. We will call multiple friends, think of 10 different movies to see, or go for another coffee. Anything to escape the fear that it's just too much to handle.
Patience is a quality that should be put into practice every day with every situation. Every time I get impatient, I think back to the life I don't want to submit to, and it nearly makes me physically sick. I then visualize my dream life, and I am instantly powered with motivation to push forward. He that can have patience can have as he will. I determined that no matter what life threw at me, I was going to do what I had to do. Training yourself to be patient is a great test of strength and something that needs to be done if you want success in any area. It starts in traffic, at work, and in your relationships with others. Don't forget, even holding on to trash until you find a bin is a great strategy. We must make changes that will empower our life with patience, even in the simplest of scenarios. Change really can happen in an instant. We all know there have been some defining moments in our lives that have shaped our destiny. Regardless of being a benefit or not, the decision to change can happen quickly and the results are acutely evident. At times, we are not satisfied until we see the end result of our decision. The same goes for when we make the decision to practice patience in our daily lives. In business, for example, most will neglect to feed the quality of patience. They will wait to base their happiness on the end result. For example, the next monthly profits. What they don't realize is that it's a buildup of little decisions that cause the end result they desire to become reality. Look at nature, from the growth of a plant, which is the result of a seed, to a collision of clouds, which results in a storm. There is a buildup and many small things that must take place before a massive result is seen. The calm before the storm. If we don't plant the seed and water it, how will it ever blossom? In one moment, you can decide that you want change and gather the inner motivation to do it. It is motivation in that instant that gets you started, but it is routine that makes it habit. Think back to the first time you went to the gym, for instance. Because there was too much pain associated with not doing it, and more pleasure in doing it, something switched inside of you. As time went on, you kept up the routine and it became a way of life. So, yes, change does happen in an instant, but true results come from repetition, and that takes patience. Have patience with all things, but chiefly have patience with yourself. To master patience is to also have faith in yourself and your Creator. I used to fall back on the idea that I know why this has all happened. That was my favorite saying to myself, reassurance of the greater plan I set for my life. You must build the belief that you know, as surely as you know the back of your hand, that it's going to happen. We have all visualized the great life we aspire to, although impatience plays a major role in stopping us from ever experiencing it. Self-control and remaining strong in the face of impatience are the keys to winning. You are still going to get angry or impatient at times, but battle your hardest not to vent it. Letting out anger is like facing a strong gust of wind and spitting directly in it. You affect yourself the most. Use all the power you have and focus on making an internal shift. Fight it. Overpower your limiting thoughts, and you will win. When faced with a challenging situation, use it to practice the art of patience. Once mastered, it will help you beat the next one with a little more ease. Before you know it, patience will be your subconscious reaction, and impatience will quickly result in correcting yourself. Another great tool is to put things into perspective. If you're waiting in traffic, just sit back and think about all those who don't even have food to eat, let alone a car to drive, and you will soon realize that your complaints are very petty. To cut above the rest, you must also use situations like these to your advantage. I've had so many people tell me that they don't have time to themselves to think about bettering their lives, and then I always refer back to the stuck in traffic situation. I'm not sure about you, but I see a lot of time in the day when you can really think. Finding the balance between persistence and patience is the pinnacle when creating something great. This can only be achieved by constant practice. Without patience, you are likely to give up. We all have an amazing gift that was given to us. How many times have you had a gift wrapped up with your name on it, and you didn't open it? I'm guessing your answer will probably be never. Well, I have a rude awakening for some. The answer is every day. There is a God-given gift, all wrapped up by the hate, despair, fear, complaining, and other limitations we let consume our lives. We have the power to perceive things in a different light, and even more important, the power to change the way we act. Sadly, the vast majority of people believe that when they give, they are emptying themselves, or they are giving something up in the process. In order for them to feel significant, they unconsciously attempt to fill that gap with someone else's approval or praise. When it doesn't happen, they seem to be disappointed. In order to be happy in life, We must recognize that every time we give, we automatically receive. The feeling of giving is the gift. If you focus your energy on the great acts you commit to every day, you will experience fulfillment. Real success also thrives on the idea of giving. It helps you to create a stronger passion to not just follow achievement for yourself, but to better everyone around you. I could just imagine how lonely and unfulfilling life would be if I were to celebrate success on my own. That doesn't merely mean money, but keeping the great qualities you know you have all to yourself. It becomes contagious to those around you, because every soul is striving for that fulfillment. Before you know it, it will feel not like a process, but rather like a way of life. Then the universe will be happy to welcome you to the never-ending cycle of self-growth. Appreciation, contribution, and self-growth are the only ways to true fulfillment. To embrace any one of these, we are required to put down our body of ego. Don't be ashamed of having an ego. It's human nature. But some people feed theirs so much that it gets in the way of really getting the most out of life. Ego is a great indicator of whether someone is genuine or not. An ego is like a shield that protects us from feeling embarrassed and prevents us from displaying who we really are. We believe if we put it down, others might think we are weird, which would alienate us. Someone with a big ego is generally hiding much deeper issues, and they are the people who are unfulfilled. They wear a mask their whole life, and when they feel they are about to be exposed, they lash out and attack your actions, rarely looking at their own. They fear meeting the stranger underneath the mask. They are the same people who usually look at how much they can take rather than what they can give. They are commonly self-centered, their intentions are frequently ill, and their desires are far from contributing. The sad thing is that even though most people are aware of this fact, but they still display their ego. We must learn to direct our ego in a way that actually benefits the world and ourselves. Being human, I still find myself being caught up in ego at times. Yet my self-awareness pulls me back into line almost instantly. So if you think you are too cool for school, think again. No one escapes the classroom of life. Humbly embrace its knowledge or feel its punishment. Putting down our ego is crucial, not just for lasting happiness, but also for achievement. Self-growth requires us to listen and obtain knowledge from people, which requires that our ego be put aside. Ego is the #1 factor that prevents us from listening, with its attitude that we don't need help and we can do it on our own. I was out for coffee with a property investor one afternoon, and he told me a story that Sir Bob Geldof had shared at a seminar. Geldof was telling them about this chubby little kid who would always be hanging around and asking for advice. He later mentioned that he never knew that same kid would grow up to be Bono from U2. Another great story is that of Michael Dell, the creator of Dell Computers. He had his first job working in a Chinese restaurant for $2.30 an hour. He would go in early and humbled himself by listening to the wise owner speak about his passion and love for the business. Taking the advice of others and always being willing to take in new information is vital to success. Your ego must be down in order for you to listen to the advice your spirit gives you every day. If you have a stubborn mindset that is stuck in one position, you will never be fulfilled. Your spirit is by far your best teacher and guide, as it knows all the answers to your questions. That deep voice inside knows what's best and will bump you initially if something doesn't feel right. How many times has your gut feeling been right? How many times have you convinced yourself otherwise and been unhappy? It's usually our mind that gets in the way of listening to our spirit. The key to aligning them both is separating yourself from your ego. When you unify the power of your thoughts with that wise inner voice, your success is self-evident. If you still feel empty in your life, it is because you have yet to surrender your ego to humbleness. People will cross our path to help us grow in life, but it's our ego that stops us from noticing this and allows them to slip away. We don't like the way they look, we are judgmental, or we aren't willing to hear what we know is the truth. Being humble throughout your experiences is a true indicator of whether you are fulfilled or not. If you are not humble, you'd better start being so, or you will never find fulfillment, period. Confidence plays a major role in having an outstanding life, but make sure you find the line between confident and cocky. It's a thin line, but you will be aware of which one you are showing. Do not read on until tomorrow. The qualities we just went through are extremely important to your growth and success. I want you to take them with you for now. The next section is on a different topic, so until tomorrow, focus on the qualities that drive success. Who says you can't? You do. Part 9. Life's Ultimate Duo, the Spirit and its Visions. If there is no passion in your life, then have you really lived? Find your passion, whatever it may be. Become it, and let it become you, and you will find great things happen for you, to you, and because of you. We all want to know how to add value to this world, the people around us, and ourselves. Doing things for others will always create more meaning in your life. The people who have been the most influential and successful were those who were committed to doing this. A passion is far deeper than material satisfaction. It's that drive within us that sparks the feeling that is far too great to be restricted by words. Once you put a lot of energy toward a passionate life, you enter the realm of the elite. The thought of it fills you with emotions you have never experienced, keeps you up at night, and wakes you up in the morning. It is enforced and embedded so deep within you that it surely becomes the basis of your decisions. It will guide you over hurdles, find inspiration once gone unnoticed, pick you up when you fall, and be the air you breathe. You can definitely feel the difference when you enter a room with someone who has passion and someone who doesn't. In whatever area of life, you will notice the ones with a strong passion are those who are running far beyond what others think is the finish line. When everyone else says it's too hard or impossible, they are the ones that prove them wrong. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you dream it, you can become it. William Arthur Ward. I hear people tell me they have a vision, so I ask what it is, and they say things like, to buy that house. Now that's great, but what after that? See, a passion is an invisible force that consumes your whole life and creates vision after vision. A true passion sees no end, but only everlasting growth. A passion would be to provide for your children, to inspire people to be the best they can be, to add value to the world, to help others, to provide a service like no one else, or to do something that you love. Being the best you can be is another great one. If there's any passion that is at the heart of every person, it is to exude that greatness that lies deep within them. We must prove our greatness to ourselves, because if we don't, we are the one who has to answer the question why. We all know that we have a lot more to give, but we just need to let that inner person speak. A great way to drag that spirit out and begin to steer it is to give as many reasons as you can why you want to do something. We put all these material wants in front of us and call them visions, yet sometimes we struggle to achieve them. The reason is that we forget to build the foundation that is going to hold everything up. We must search deeper and ask why we want what we do. Whatever it is, you need to build as many reasons as possible why you are doing what you are doing, and let them really align themselves with who you are deep down. That's how you remain at full strength. I personally do not let material things drive me, because I know they will flow through my passion. I have a clear indication of what I want, but then I let my spirit guide me. If we don't do it this way, we get caught up in greed, and we will never be fulfilled. You will notice that you continue to come back to that point of emptiness, and then wonder why you even bothered in the first place. A true passion doesn't just appear bright and strong one day. It evolves over time. I can't tell you what your passion in life is. No one but you can do that. This is one of the biggest challenges I see today. It seems when the thought of trying to discover our true passion or calling comes up, it causes us to worry and become stressed. All that does is cloud and suffocate your spirit. As we all know, stress is a major contributor to our despair, so it is definitely not the road to finding your passion. In order to discover the blueprint of our greatness hidden under the collage of social beliefs that become self-beliefs, we must unwrap the paper and then the gift will be displayed. That collage is all the limitations such as hate, fear, self-doubt, judgment, lack of self-love, and many more that restrict us from seeing our true path. Lack of passion in life is truly a grave issue in society. I have coached people searching for their passion in life more than any other challenge. What I am about to tell you will probably change your perception of your passion forever. Our whole life, we seem to be in search of this one passion that we think will win us fulfillment, and the concept is usually based around a career. We believe that without finding what it is, we are hopeless. Well, guess what? No one who is passionate is only passionate about one thing. I would consider myself a passionate person now, but I didn't wait to find out what career I wanted to do in order to decide that. In all honesty, I don't even consider educating and inspiring people a career. Rather, it is a passion that flowed from first being passionate in many other areas of life. I am passionate about being a great person, treating everyone as equals, sustaining the quality of nature, my body, my family, people in general, and so on. I have many passions in life. I didn't just wake up one day knowing what my career was and begin being a passionate person, nor did any of the vastly successful people I have met on my journey. If you don't practice being passionate in all the other areas of your life, then you will never discover your true potential. There is one great thing that all successes in any era have in common. It calls for no debate. It requires unconditional love, and it is the pinnacle of all emotions. It is the passion for life itself. When you have passion for every part of your life, things fall into place. All successful people have one thing in common. They are all addicted to life. Formulate and stamp indelibly on your mind a mental picture of yourself as succeeding. Hold this picture tenaciously. Never permit it to fade. Your mind will seek to develop the picture. Do not build up obstacles in your imagination. People continually visualize throughout their day. There are very few who embrace the present, but many who envision the past or the future. The issue is that it's of no benefit because those visions usually result in stress or worry. The same people have no idea how much power their visions have to become reality and that they cause them to experience the same emotions they so often complain about. As we previously read about neuroplasticity, constant repetition is effective in shaping who we are becoming. People get all spooked when they hear the word meditation, but they are missing out on one of the most powerful gifts mankind has. We are led to believe that when meditating we are thinking of nothing. Let me assure you, when you are thinking of nothing you are still thinking, because you're thinking of nothing. It's an opportunity to take ourselves away from what we see with our eyes, away from space and time, and start using those thoughts to really create a feeling of success right now. Why do we close our eyes when we pray, when we cry, when we kiss, when we dream? Because the most beautiful things in our life are not seen but felt only by the heart. Taking the time out for visualization is one tool that really successful people have used, even if they don't call it that. Meditation, prayer, and imagining are all the same thing. Successful people allocate time to completely focus on what they want, not what they don't want. I would get so strongly into visualization that the hairs on the back of my neck would stand up, because what I saw in my mind was just as real as if I were really there. Sure enough, they do happen. The parietal area of the brain is responsible for giving us a sense of our orientation in space and time. He hypothesized that blocking all sensory and cognitive input into this area during meditation results in the sense of no space and no time. When this part of the brain, which weaves sensory data into a feeling of where the self ends, is deprived of sensory input through an individual's focus on inward concentration, it cannot do its job of finding the border between the self and the world. Dr. Newberg described how this affects consciousness. The brain had no choice. It perceived the self to be endless, as one with all of creation. And this felt utterly real. The absorption of the self into something larger is not the result of emotional fabrication or wishful thinking. It springs from neurological events, as when the orientation area goes dark. Other experiments have also been performed, including those by Richard Davidson. He is a professor of psychology and psychiatry at the University of Wisconsin and has led experiments in cooperation with the Dalai Lama on effects of meditation on the brain. His results suggest that long-term or short-term practice of meditation results in different levels of activity in brain regions associated with such qualities as attention, anxiety, depression, fear, anger, and the ability of the body to heal itself. These functional changes may be caused by changes in the physical structure of the brain. With enough focus, your mind doesn't know whether what you are thinking about is real right now or not. When we daydream or close our eyes and drift off, we feel the same emotions as if we are actually living our dream. It feels so real because for that brief moment your mind doesn't know the difference. The more energy we put towards something, the stronger influence it has on our life. It's the same with what we focus on in our mind. That's the power of realization. Those very images you choose to see in your mind on a daily basis, be they beneficial or not, are being attracted to your life. That's why things we don't want keep showing up, because we continually think about them. If we direct our mental images to what we want, it causes not just ourselves, but everything else to surrender to manifestation. Ordinary people believe only in the possible. Extraordinary people visualize not what is possible or probable, but rather what is impossible. And by visualizing the impossible, they begin to see it as possible. I don't care what you want to call it. Closing your eyes, directing all your focus to one area as if you were really there, feeling the emotions, and even imagining how you would physically react is going to enhance your life. I used to sit in my room, close my eyes, and drift off. In that moment, I felt as if I could hear people telling me how much I'd helped them. I felt as if I already had a better relationship with my family. These feelings have since become reality. I would feel the warmth in a person's hand when they shook mine, or a hug from my nephew, just to inspire my day. I would do it anywhere and anytime I had the chance. The power of visualization has a weird way of speeding up time toward those things you desire. Things start to happen quicker, and I guess that's how you see some people's success and wonder how they achieve things in such a short amount of time. The more you visualize the qualities of life and what you want, the stronger your vision becomes. It will be a way of life and a means to take the appropriate action. You can also cut time when something distressing displays itself by simply closing your eyes and drifting away to a better place for that short time. When you start practicing this, it might seem difficult to stay focused, but the more energy you put toward it, the better you become at it. Even when you drift off with your eyes closed, it is crucial to redirect toward things you appreciate or an experience that would immediately make you happy. Have you ever noticed that the trip back from a journey always seems shorter? Why is that? The reason is that we have been there before. If we go somewhere in our mind, feel it, see it, and be it, then we obtain it at a much faster pace. If you don't believe that your mind is the basis of your creations, then ask yourself these questions. Why do we have a mind? And what is its purpose? Use it. There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Albert Einstein, no words I write could amount to the certainty I have in visualization. It is the key and foundation to all your dreams, and is the basis for your decisions and reactions toward life experiences. Be different from the rest, and give yourself this wonderful opportunity. When doing this, it is crucial to feel every detail of the image, from the smallest to the largest. Embrace the power and the emotion of it, and it will be the foundation of creating the life you desire. Visualization experiment. If you have ever played basketball or known a basketball player personally, you would know that many players choke when it's time to take a free throw. Even some of the best basketball players on the planet have this mental block. No one questions their ability to play the game, but they have trouble making those shots, and they will be the first to admit it's all in their mind. Dr. Judd Biasiato at the University of Chicago reported about a study that was conducted to determine the effects of visualization on the free throw performance of basketball players. First, the athletes were tested to determine their free throw proficiency. They were then randomly assigned to one of three experimental groups. The first went to the gym every day for 1 hour and practiced free throws. The second group also went to the gym, but instead of physically practicing, they were told to lie down and simply visualize themselves successfully shooting. The third group did nothing. In fact, they were instructed to forget about basketball. At the end of 30 days, the three groups were again tested to determine their free throw proficiency. The players who hadn't practiced at all showed no improvement in performance. Many in that group actually exhibited a drop. Those who had physically practiced 1 hour each day showed a performance increase of 24%. Here's the clincher. The visualization group, by merely imagining themselves successfully shooting free throws, also improved 24%. It doesn't matter what area of life you apply this to. If you run a perfect scenario over and over in your mind with the inclusion of sight, sound, and smell, performance is sure to improve. Visualizing and taking physical action is a combination that is unbeatable. Training your mind. Give us a clear vision that we may know where to stand and what to stand for. Because unless we stand for something, we shall fall for anything. Task. Visualize your updated appreciation list. Be still and make sure you are stationary. Once you fully focus and do it a few times, you won't want to stop. You will discover a shift in focus toward great things in life, rather than things that are of no benefit. The quality of your whole life will improve. 1. Start with focusing on breathing in and out through your nose. From the tip of your nostrils, follow the breath all the way until it flows back out. When you inhale, draw the air down to your stomach and back out slowly through your nose. You can count up to 7 when exhaling to slow down the process. Do this until you feel light and weightless. 2. A euphoric state should arise in your mind. Then start visualizing. I personally did this at night when I was relaxed, but still read my list in the morning. This addition to your daily ritual will transform your life, but you have to commit to it. Don't just do it for 3 days, stop, and then email me saying it doesn't work. It's an ongoing process, but results will be measurable immediately, especially in the way you feel. 3. You can visualize at any time during the day, and listening to music that inspires you is also a great addition. Your visions will start to play out around you, awareness will rise, and you will notice things that are relevant to your success that once went unnoticed. Our mind is the canvas on which we create, and imagination is its tool. Things once thought of as just a dream will turn into a vision so strong that your passion will see to its becoming real.